truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your house of cards is getting old. Static hums, the wires ignite. Truth's a bomb, we're ready to fight. This is some bullshit. We see through it. This is some bullshit. Can't undo
Check.
it.
Check one. Can you hear me? Is everybody in?
We won't quit.
There we go. What's up, Twitch people? Let's see some activity from Twitch. We haven't seen that in a while. I've been bothering you guys about it, but somebody subscribe on there or something. Good Lord. All right, we're almost there. Give me 1 second. Yeah. What's up, party people? The world's going crazy. What's happening? All right. Where do we even begin with this raging pile of... Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. Annoy the maggot in your life by sharing the show on your socials. Thank you guys on Blue Sky who do all the clips and stuff like that. I got to get better at like reposting those. The format's very funky and it's hard to do that. I'm gonna build an AI that grabs and pokes and squeezes and then it put it and then it's clippage. Now, before we get into our nightly dose of madness, I would like to request that we have a moment of prayer. Since a bunch of lunatics are gathered around Donald Trump, laying hands on him, even with his rash. Anyways, even Lincoln has his head down. I gotta say, this is posted by Dan Scavino from the White House, and nothing says like, oh dear, it's malignant, like calling everybody to the White House to lay hands on him. Like this is like, some of these before were just kind of like bullshit show pony moments for the, like, look, well, pro-Christian we are. Right now, though, it looks like they're all gathered to say goodbye. I'll get into, I'll talk about summer and stuff at the end of the show, if that's all right. I'm going to keep it tight tonight. Look out. But let's pray.
We are honored to come before your presence today, lifting up the arms of our president. We pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest
To check for
upon him.
lumps.
We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide
Yes, because there is a drought of wisdom in his mind.
him in these challenging times that we're facing today. I pray for your grace and your protection over him.
By the way, is Paula White waiting to be tapped out by Jesus? Like she's just holding her hand up like, I'm praying. I got one hand on him and one where the Lord can just go, I'm in, coach. I got this.
I pray for your grace and protection over our troops and all of our men and women serving in our armed forces. And Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president the strength that he needs to lead our great nation.
Yeah, see, that sounds like they don't tell you what the beginning of this was. And whether he had a big conversation about not getting into heaven and fairly soon. When they say he's got, continue to give him the strength. I got to tell you this. I'm not joking. I think this was called as a kind of way of shoring up him emotionally and mentally, and hoping it had a placebo effect on him. I'm not kidding. Like, I think they're there because they know he's fucked up.
As we come back to one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball!
We pray your heavenly blessing upon him, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah, notice how they cut, like, they don't show the beginning of it, so I think they cut off the part about, remove this cancerous lump from the back of his neck or whatever the shit they were doing. I'm not kidding. I really do think, like, this was like, we need to lay hands on him. Only a blessing from the Lord will heal him. There are witches and demons around. Look, I'm not guessing that there are witches and demons around. I happen to know people who've had sex with them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hal, was it a real demon? Yes, it was a real demon. Just because he was dressed as a mid-40s trucker who hangs out in the bathroom at a truck stop 3 miles from Tucker Carlson's house, does not mean it's any less of a demon. If anything, more of a demon. Because of these locally sourced demons. All right. We'll get into... there's 2 hours of this. But I want to get into the part... There's a bunch of this shit in here where... Like, he's got chapters on this, which I believe are fair game. And it's neocon bloodlust and whatever. The how we should respond part is the part that I want to see. Like, because I got to tell you, like, Trump has basically just told him and Megyn Kelly and anybody else who's not on board to go fuck themselves. He is circling the wagons with all the maggots, and you're either on Team Tucker or you're on Team Trump, and I'm for it. I'm for this dogfight between two piles of dog shit. But I want to know how Tucker Carlson thinks he's going to handle this on a PR level.
So how do we respond to this?
I'm going to guess laugh oddly in the middle of a relatively serious conversation. Say, of course, and everybody knows that, and obviously in cyclical terms on statements that are meant to sound common sense but are missing key elements of common sense to kind of... Basically, you're just hiding the pill in the snack treat, and that's where you're going. And then with a butt crack in your forehead, right down the middle there. That's. I'm pretty sure that's how you're going to respond.
I could, because this is only 36 hours in, and because you don't want to make things sound worse than they really are.
You can't. This is, Can I? All right. You don't want to. I that's exactly what I needed to hear from him. Okay. That's what I need to hear. You know why, chat room? Because there's another clip. Where is it? Where's Tuckums? He's in here somewhere. I know I pulled it. I know it's there. I know it's around. It's yes. How are we going to handle this? It's only 36 hours. We don't want to get out. Don't go crazy. Simmer down. It's not that big a deal. We'll find a way to message this. That's what we got to focus on. How are we going to respond? What kind of words are we going to use to, to craft this and help put this toothpaste shit back in the butthole? Well, one day later, we are approaching the end of everything. Tucker explains. I don't know that needs an explanation. If it's the end, are there varying degrees of end? If it's going to happen and we have no control over it, I mean, why don't you just sit there like some fucking weirdo in The Shining at the end, with a split skull holding a martini going, lovely party. I mean, in this time to start like humming, dear my lord, to like closer my lord to thee, or whatever the song they're playing at the end of Titanic. Now get out of where? Also, I guess Iran, that would be the get out, and there's Iran. So get out of Iran. It's a subtle message, but I'm picking up what you're laying down. We are approaching the end of everything. It's, I would have eased into it myself. End of an era, end of certain understandings, end of norms, and what? Nope. everything. Everything. We are approaching the end of everything. Well, let's see. He's figured out how to message it. Here it comes.
So how do we respond to this?
Oh my God, it's the same clip. See what I mean? Like, he literally, this is where he gets. I just wanted you to see the title. We are approaching the end of everything. Okay. How do you respond? What's to respond to? Of course. We're all dead.
Because this is only 36 hours in, and because you don't want to make things sound worse than they really are, we could go through all the many, many risks, some of which are becoming even clearer than they were.
Sorry, they weren't clear before?
You don't want to go through them all.
Yeah, because you don't really know and you don't pay that much attention to it, and you're really only doing this to suck up to Russia. You don't really have a dog in this race on a meaningful level. You're basically a sociopath who doesn't give a fuck about who gets killed where. You just have picked your enemies and you're sticking to it.
But clearly the United States is not going to benefit from staying longer in Iran. And
longer than what?
Sorry, Tom Cotton, putting troops on the ground, boots on the ground, whatever you call it.
You call it boots. Boots on the ground is the euphemism. Nobody calls it troops on the ground because that sounds like they're dead.
Committing young American men to go die in Iran is not
young Americans. Yeah.
in our interest at all. And it would cause not simply heartbreak in the families of those killed, but it would.
I like, you know what I like, and I'm sure you noticed it too, is the empathy that he injects into when he speaks softly and pretends to give a shit about families when he's been against public education, welfare, any kind of social safety net because these fuckers are hangers on, and you know asylum seekers can go fuck themselves and swim back to wherever they came from, and they kind of, but this is serious.
Cause potentially real turmoil here domestically.
Yeah, because we don't have that right now.
And render already fragile social fabric. So where do you go from here?
Now that all of the children are growing up, and how do we spend our time? Where do we go from here? Well, I guess towards the midterms.
Well, get out right away.
Oh, he didn't mean... I'm sorry. I thought he did, because he seems to be such an authority. I thought, he meant... okay, metaphorically, Iran. Right, sure. Whew. I was like... It's like when somebody yells duck and there isn't one around.
It's just that simple.
Sorry, panicked again. I thought I'd mistaken, and then when he said it again, I was like, oh, he's serious this time. And I should probably, you know what? I'm gonna push play, and then it's like I'm stealing second. That's how just in case.
Of course, it's also incredibly complicated, but
well, no, it isn't. There's a door there, and then there's probably some steps, and then a door. I'll be on the street in seconds. If I need to be. There's always a chance I could, like a cat could try and run interference. Yeah, you're right, it is. And I'm wearing shoes without any laces, and I don't go outside without laces, so. You're right, this is getting very complicated.
First step is deciding that we're leaving. No, it's only...
Yeah, I thought you already made that decision.
Been less than 2 days, but it's pretty clear that we're not going to gain anything more. And how do we know that? Because no one has explained what we're there to gain.
Well, that's because we have assholes in charge that you supported. And you still like, apparently, according to your conversation with Megan Kelly. I really like Trump. I love him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's very smart. And I think he knows a lot of good things. And I think he's a good person. And he, committed us to a situation which will end time as we know it. But, other than that, he's a lovely fellow, right?
No one has described the mission. Ask anybody, what's the point of it? How do we know we've won?
Oh, I'll real quick. I wrote a whole Substack about this, that the stated mission is is a veneer over the actual mission, and that regime change is the mission, and it can't just be transitioning from one version of the the Islamic Republic of Iran to another version. That the Islamic Republic functionality has to be wiped out entirely, and they have to return to either a monarchy or a parliamentary democracy temporarily or something like that. But that's the goal. I mean, they're not saying that. What they're saying is, no, we can't let them have a nuke or a ballistic missile or anything over a 12-gauge shotgun shell. They keep moving that goalpost. But the reality is, it's a regime change war. Asshole.
And some of us spent 20 years asking, what are we doing in Afghanistan? Shut up. Are you pro-Taliban? No.
All right. Fuck you. Nobody was yelling for the last 20 years while everybody was going, what are we doing in Afghanistan? That the response was, fuck you, are you pro-Taliban? I mean, well, I take that back. In the world of non-Nepo baby, silver spoon in your ass since birth, folks, people don't say that. But in the circles he runs in, I think it's, I take it back. It's entirely plausible that the fuckheads he runs into regularly in his social and economic circle are like, what are you, pro-Taliban? Because as my father said, if you don't think God pities stupid people, look who he gives money to.
No. But I would like to know when we've won. Sorry, you can't know that. It's classified. Okay.
You'll know. The little temperature thermometer will go like that, and then you'll hear a little ding go. The toaster will go, we've won in Iran.
But now is the time to be totally honest. We're not going to get...
Now? I'm sorry. You've been waiting till now to be... All right.
At anything more than we've already gotten, assuming we've gotten anything by staying. And the longer we stay, the greater the risk. What are the risks?
Well, see, that's the problem. You're in a break it, you bought it window. And the problem that they have now is that now that you've started it, you can't leave it half done or it becomes way worse. So that's why everybody avoided committing to a ground war and actually even an air war in Iran, because once you start it, you gotta finish it off. You can't leave it half undone because the Islamic Republic will rise up and they'll go, the only way we're going to be safe is to have a nuclear bomb, and they're going to have to fight for that. So you've got to regime change the country once you start this. You can't, half measures are worse than just stopping, or worse, than continuing at this point, whether you achieve the goal or not. Like, that's the thing. It's either mass murder or bust. That's the reality of this situation. That's why you don't do it. It's why you don't jump to these kind of things. It's why you don't start shit like this without a plan for what standards you have after the fact, or some at least functioning structure that will be left behind. But that's when sane people are in the White House. At this point, your buddy's in there. You think he's a lovely human being. So why is this even your audience's fucking problem? Why aren't you just doing an apology? Why isn't Tucker Carlson's every fucking video, I'm sorry I was such a gullible bastard? Why? Seriously. Because it's not Trump's fault at this point, right? It's not the con artist if you keep falling for it. They're still committing a crime. They should still do time for it. But at some point, you've got to go, God damn, I keep falling for this. I must be dumber than shit.
Oh, well. Here are just two that you should be paying attention to. One is that Israel gets really hurt. And in case you think this is a long
emotionally or
video attacking Israel for Nazi reasons or anti-Semitic reasons, it's not.
I'm satisfied. You guys are satisfied, right? Yeah. I mean, I believe me, I don't think it's wholly Nazi or anti-Semitic reasons. I think, Russia just needs the Shahed drones and you're Putin's bitch. So this just gives you a nice window. And you've got an audience of people who, have in case of emergency, break glass form of anti-Semitism, they'll all drop to. So you can kind of use it as a way of protecting Iran, as your buddy, while pretending to give a rat fuck about the other players.
It's merely an effort to try and think through what's good for the United States.
Is it? Really? When did that become a hobby of yours? Recently?
but also as someone who wishes Israel no harm, to think through clearly what's going to be terrible for Israel. And one thing that would be terrible for Israel is getting hit with a hypersonic missile.
Yeah, but a nuclear missile would be worse, which is why they argue that they would go in there. I'm not even agreeing with their point here, but no pun intended, but do you have to throw shit up that's so easy to shoot down?
Which, as of right now, Iran has not yet fired. And they
Okay.
may never.
How do you know? They may not even have one. They may have already shot it and it missed, but it went by so fast nobody saw it.
But let's say they did.
They did. No, they didn't. But
What would Israel, which is a country the size of Maryland, how would it respond? How could it respond? Well, it might respond with nuclear weapons, which it has, and which it...
maybe that's why they haven't fired the hypersonic missile yet, which means that maybe Iran was really trying to get a nuclear missile because they view that as a genuine deterrent because it works for the other guy. It's funny how that shit is awful.
is threatened to use before, and which is it has implied it might use many times. One of the reasons that you can't let Israel go alone is they imply like, hey, don't make us go crazy and do something wild.
You mean like Russia does every time somebody wants to come in help Ukraine? Sorry, how was their fucking train station bathroom again?
And that would include the use
Were there any demons in there in the men's room?
of nuclear weapons. I'm not saying it's going to happen, God forbid, but it could. And if Israel was...
What if it doesn't? Here's the problem. And that I've been floating this for a bit now, and I really do focus on this. People are like, what if this goes wrong? What if it goes sideways? What if it goes awful? The problem is, what if it goes well? I mean, the United States military is fucking ginormous. The Israelis have been stockpiling for this day for a long goddamn time. And the problem isn't, what if they fail? The problem is, what if they succeed in the short term, and then the hubris drives Trump to invade fucking Cuba and all these other places, which is a real concern on our end, or people just grind on what happened now, and in 10 years, somebody brings a nuke into Tel Aviv because they are still mad about this, and they might not have otherwise had we had a peace deal. That's the concern beyond the idiocy of who's running shit that I have. Is that a lot of this shit can work in the short term. That's the issue. And maybe the reality is that when Hegseth says we're punching when they're down, we knew they were down. We knew they didn't have nukes. We knew they didn't have long-range missiles, and they certainly don't have chemical and biological weapons, as Lindsey Graham allegedly floated. By the way, I'm not saying allegedly have. I mean genuinely allegedly floated. I have not heard this clip, but Tucker apparently says that Lindsey Graham said that and whatever. She's good, M-Wise. We'll talk at the end of the show. I'll catch you guys up.
legitimately threatened, not performatively threatened, but actually threatened, like with a hypersonic missile into downtown Jerusalem.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be a threat. They're already threatened by it. If it exists and they could fire it into it, that's the threat. They live under the threat all the time. God damn, he's dumb. Fuck, man. How does the fucking heir to a frozen dinner like fortune end up a talking head on Fox for fucking decades, and then is basically the bus driver on a small wing of the conservative party at this point? Like I catch a lot of shit, obviously, being a comedian talking about politics. And to that, I'm like, well, listen to what I'm saying and criticize what I'm saying. And if you don't like it, then you can't blame it on what other job. Blame it on the job I'm doing. That's easy. If somebody has a weekend band and they're a plumber during the week, I'm not going to go, who the fuck is this plumber who has a band? I'm going to judge the band based on their music. I give a shit what they do the rest of the time. Out of respect for the fact that human beings are enormously complex creatures, with exceptions. But I certainly catch hell as a comedian and an actor talking about this stuff, and the maggots are big on this. Celebrities think they talk about politics. Well, it's stupid. That celebrities should shut the fuck up and sing or whatever. Unless it's Kid Rock or Ted Nugent or fucking Ron Silver back in the day, or fucking Mel Gibson, or, any celebrity that shows up and kisses Trump's ass, suddenly it's like, finally, Hollywood's coming around. Ugh.
Then, yeah, it might. And in that case, who knows? Because
Great. This is awesome. We've died and gone to the seventh circle of the blaze.
nuclear weapons have not been used since August of 1945, but a number of countries have them, including Pakistan and possibly others. And so...
Yep. More. I'm fairly certain more countries than Pakistan have nukes. I'd have to look it up.
It could get there. And you'd hate to be in a spot where you were relying once again, as we did in June, on Iranian restraint. Relying on the Iranians to, call your airbase in Qatar before hitting it and giving you a warning. You hate to say that, but if you find yourself in a place where you're relying on the restraint of a country you have described as morally diseased, a terrorist nation,
Right, but the leadership you were talking to that you were referring to that way are dead. So I don't even know who would be on the phone at this point, and maybe they'd be a lot more amenable to the situation. Either way, you're missing the fucking point.
Nazi countries, they're telling you on Fox, if you're relying on their reasonable behavior, you may have exposed yourself a little bit. So if this continues, you could see potentially things.
It's going to continue, by the way. It's going to continue. This whole 4 weeks nonsense. Trump will start getting embarrassed and try to get out in 6 weeks, but everybody's going to tell him, if you leave this half done, it's going to be really fucked up. And they have targeted for 7 months. They have strategically targeted for 7 months of this shit. Yeah.
It's going really crazy. And of course, the craziest of all would be a nuclear exchange. And that could happen. That's not off the table. Ask anybody.
Can I ask anybody now? What can I call my mother? Tell her I love her? I guess not. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Can't keep me here, Chief.
Moon River.
You can't trigger Fletch lines like that with me, Tuckums. It's a dick move.
Who's dealing with this or thinking about it? Doesn't mean it's going to. Again, God forbid, but it could. And
sure, absolutely. Just, yes, an asteroid could bounce off of Uranus and kill us all. Doesn't mean it's going to, but it could. Just don't look up. The idea that this asshole thinks that he's playing a functional part in any of this is fucking embarrassing.
the possibility, even then it could.
Should stop you from doing anything like with Russia. Gee, it's almost like you're coming right back to it. You're coming right back to the fact that Russia uses mutual assured destruction as an umbrella under which they can attack anybody they fucking want. Where'd you learn that from recently on your trip to Russia?
It's terrifying. That's number one. Number two
Also, all war is terrifying depending on your proximity to it.
was Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem.
Oh, yeah, this is the Al-Aqsa. He thinks that the Israelis are going to bounce. They're going to intentionally bank shot one of the Iranian missiles into the Al-Aqsa Mosque to trigger a fight between the Sunni and Shia religions, and then they're just going to sit back and roast marshmallows until the end times or some shit.
Which was apparently,
historically, allegedly, not apparently. You didn't actually see it. It wasn't apparent to anyone. You didn't visualize this. This is it is said to have. I think allegedly is probably a good working there. It gets tied to legal terms, but is said to have is really what it's about.
the site of the Second Temple. If you've been to
Of 5? No.
Jerusalem,
If you have 3 more temples, you get a free yogurt.
there's a big gold dome, a whole complex, and that is
If you think that's complex, you should hear the fight between the religions.
one of the holiest sites in Islam. Not an expert in Islam, despite many accusations. But it
Dude, don't worry. I don't think you're an expert on fucking anything.
is. It appears to be co-equal in Islam, from what I can tell, with Mecca and Medina. It's a huge deal. And since 1967, it's been under the military control of Israel. It's actually controlled legally by Jordan. But it's a holy place for every Muslim, about 2 billion of them.
Yeah, not it doesn't it charts, but not quite like it does in Judaism and Christianity, and certainly it's more of like a captured site versus Mecca and Medina, which obviously yeah, you got to make the Hajj to Mecca once like that is not required for the Temple Mount. That's more of like it's more like when they got all the way to the end of the chessboard and they could trade a pawn for a better piece. That's what they did. That's what that was. Allegedly.
There are people.
It's also a temple that was knocked down and rebuilt generationally for centuries, which happened a lot.
Orthodox Jews in Israel, not all, some, and some evangelical Christians in Texas, not all, but some, who would like to see it blown up and replaced by this third temple. And I'm not going to get into the theology of it, which is deranged.
Well, as most Texas evangelicals are, sure.
And demonic, actually.
Well,
but it's a fact that people want this.
You know what? I take it back. Who am I to say what's demonic? You're the expert.
And
one of us has been sexually assaulted by a demon, and it's not me. So, again, I will...
That is the beginning of, really of the end for the world as we know it, because that would set off.
And I feel fine.
Looking for religious conflict. Killing the Ayatollah didn't get you there. Okay.
Leonard Bernstein.
Okay, blow up the mosque, and then you will be there.
These are our options. Can we just keep like farming and building shit and brushing our teeth and going to fucking concerts and raising our kids and get married, have babies and shit like that? Like, I mean, of the options that we have, apparently, I don't think it's quite boiled down to nuclear exchange or blowing up the mosque. What kind of fucking coin are you flipping?
And that's not good for anyone. It's certainly not good for the United States. And
well, the Texas evangelicals would disagree with you. They would. They think it's been great for Jesus. It's like his wake up alarm.
And if this continues, there are already people in Israel. At least one well-known rabbi is calling for a false flag against that mosque. Just blow it up and blame the Iranians.
And there's like, I think in all of Judaism, there's like 6 rabbis, right? So, I mean, he kills 4 of them. He could almost outvote the other guy.
And the truth is, whether the Iranians blow it up intentionally or unlikely, but let's just say, or by mistake, or there's a false flag by Israel, it blames Iran, it doesn't matter.
Or Iran actually hits it because they did it by accident. Like, it's not even a false flag. It's like they really do fuck up and hit it.
If it blows up.
Or if somebody's just smoking while they're repairing the gas line. Or how about this one? The Nordic gods decide that they have put up with this shit long enough, and a lightning bolt destroys it and reestablishes the Odenic rain. I'm just spitballing with you. All right.
That's not a solvable problem. That's the end of everything that we know.
Is it, though? I mean, do you really think the U.S. and Russia and China, for example, like these giant landmasses, do an exchange of nuclear weapons because the temple on the mount got blown up? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there'll be a bunch of Texas evangelicals that'll go out to a fucking barn and cut off their balls and put them in a milk jug and lay down and wait for spaceship Jesus to pick them up. I'm sure, but the rest of us are gonna go. Remember that? That was fucked up. And then go like, have you ever had shrimp and grits? I'm just craving it lately. Like that's how humans are.
And that's an enduring, generational, 1,000-year, as long as the world lasts, religious conflict that no one.
Why? I mean, again, if the temple got blown up, whether it was by a false flag or intentionally or whatever, it's a bunch of fucking Texas evangelicals. It's just a hole. You have to rebuild the third temple on top of it, and you can't, especially if it was nuked, you dumbass. You would have to wait 10,000 years for it to cool off. That's why there's no Temple Chernobyl, if you've noticed, if I do say so.
Wants to be a part of. Only the craziest, darkest people want any part of that at all.
So you have a problem with dark people, it seems?
That's the opposite of what you want. And that could happen. So the point is, once
Yeah, I have heard that the opposite of what you want could happen in life.
things start getting crazy, they can
Hey, asshole, they're already crazy. Donald Trump is fucking president. He's got a scaly, oozy sore on the back of his neck that looks like, shingles fucked herpes in 170-degree heat. And oiled itself up with bacon grease. Meanwhile, his cankles look like he's shoving balloons into his shoes. He's got bruises on both of his fucking hands now that I'm not, after today, convinced isn't chemo. Especially after the fucking church leaders came up and gave him the Jesus spanking.
potentially, indeed, they tend to get really crazy. And so
So this isn't really crazy. This is kind of crazy. This is wacky.
stop the craziness. So how would we affect that? To the extent that
Let's do it. Come on, Tuck. Let's do this, man. Let's commit to stopping the craziness. And obviously that starts with voting every Republican out of office, because they obviously are facilitators for this. And as much as you might disagree with some of the policies of Democrats, certainly the economy and the general public does better when they're in charge. And I'm fucking with you. It's probably going to be like pray or
we
something.
can, at this point, declare victory and go home. Or pull back.
By the way, declare victory and go home is how I leave every party. So
It's hard to negotiate with the Iranians. They've turned down.
they're dead, blah, blah, blah. I keep trying to talk to this dead guy. Murphy, you're giving Miranda to a corpse. I'm having trouble.
Our offer 3 times. Yeah, true. Iran has decided, to the extent they decide anything, who knows who's actually making the decisions.
Yeah, it might be a mix of brain matter and rubble that's making the decisions.
Clearly, they're being made by compartments,
Yes, it's a giant cootie catcher.
or it seems that way.
Why would it seem that way? Because if any decisions are made, they're having to do it from a distance.
But to the extent that the Iranian government can respond as a cohesive whole, they have responded, no, we're not negotiating with you. Okay, so you can't negotiate with them. We're stopping.
Stopping what? Negotiating? I think that's what Trump was arguing for.
Defensive measures only. We don't want this.
Defensive. Well, I think that's the whole. You weren't listening to Hegseth. This is a preemptive. It was Marco Rubio who first said it. It's a preemptive defensive measure. This is a defensive first strike. Oh, and by the way, remember that whole shit about Hillary Clinton being a neocon and all this? And Trump being the peace president that you were talking about? Fuck you, buddy.
The global economy is at stake. The global order is at stake.
Excuse me? You mean the New World Order?
American lives are at stake.
Sure.
American prestige is certainly on the line. Our ability.
As long as Trump is in there, we don't have any. That's the problem. People are everybody's like, this is embarrassing. We're losing our standing in the world. Like, Trump is president. We have no standing in the world. This is fucking embarrassing. Like, everything about this is fucking goofy. This is no standard now. All right. I would love to stick with this shithead for the rest of it, but we've got to spread it around a little bit. We got to see both sides of the argument. Now, lucky for us, they're on the same side of the aisle. They're doing this. Okay. Remember this dude? Yeah. He of the forehead caterpillars. He's according to him, Iran is done for because we've struck the water. Apparently, we keep missing the land and hitting the water, I guess. Or it's just this is a giant game of tic-tac-toe, and he just make 3 X's and declare victory and go home. He's been listening to Tucker. This is Ben Shapiro and Ben Shapiro clips. So apparently you can double up one. I didn't know this, YouTube. You can double up on the same network, I guess on 2 networks with the same upload. Very fancy. We truly do live in the future.
Today, there's not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or Gulf of Oman. And
okay, ship is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here because a lot of their defensive and offensive things are boats. They really are. They're small. They're not full-on ships. They had very few ships. Also, submarines are a bigger part of how they do it, especially around shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. But I can understand where you're going to run with this. I just saying, when you start using one word specifically, I think it's to avoid all the other words.
Will not stop.
Well, that's a pretty good synopsis of where we are. Hegseth.
No, it isn't, because it doesn't address submarines or racing boats or any of their civilian watercraft that they disguise, their military that they disguise as civilian watercraft. It also doesn't deal with the missile launchers that are close to the Strait of Hormuz that can. All right. No, them just having no ships in there. They had 8 ships and now they're all gone. And do you know the name of a single one of them? No.
Says that very, very soon there will be complete control of the skies. Effectively, there already is. The United
Basically.
States has been flying not B-2s, which is a stealth aircraft, B-52s, which are just gigantic planes.
Love Shack. You don't have to tell me the upside of the B-52s.
That don't move all that fast. They're kind of like passenger airliners. They move like 650 miles an hour. We're flying those over Iran right now. It's basically,
yeah, but they're really high in the atmosphere. That's the thing. What they drop is so fucking high up that none of the stuff on the ground in Iran can reach that by range. That's why it's really about missiles and what they drop. It can shoot down that stuff and our own aircraft or Israeli aircraft, and that's why it matters. I mean, it's like saying we have nuclear submarines parked by Greenland right now, and Iran has no chance at hitting them. If we wanted to use them, we could launch from them and hit Iran, but they could never retaliate. And what the fuck does that tell me?
a blimp in the sky, and nobody can touch it. Here's Hegseth this morning.
They couldn't before.
Starting last night and to be completed.
Bro, telling you this right now. Just this president, man, I gotta tell you, he's promised me a full fucking pardon. Whatever.
In a few days, in under a week, the 2 most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies.
Well, that's not even a flex. They should, right? If we're the 2 most powerful, and ours is more powerful by an order of magnitude than the Israelis, why is that weird? It seems like you're avoiding telling me that Iran's actual air force was kind of shit to begin with. That it was a bit of a paper tiger like Russia, but you needed to build up the threat as much as possible so you could excuse yourself to do this?
Contested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means.
Yes, I have. My lungs have uncontested airspace right now, and I have complete control of my mental state, unlike you. Why am I supposed to be surprised that the United States could have complete control of the airspace over Iran at some point in the near future after days of bombing? Why? Shouldn't there be some detail that you're like, because we are up against...
It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding...
all day and all night, day and night. Both of those things. We'll fly night missions during the day missions at night. None of your fucking business. We just take it, like it.
Fixing and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military. Finding and fixing their leaders and their...
Okay, we're not repairing them. Fixing in these terms means locating, finding, and then locating with some precision, fixing a target on them, and then... Right, and... the problem I have is that I don't think he understands that sentence. I think somebody else read it for him or wrote it for him, and he thinks he's looking at the word fix right now going, are we like rebuilding their personality from scratch or?
Military leaders flying over Tehran, flying over Iran.
Okay, why are you doing jump cuts? There's a real war going on, Ben over. Why would you do jump cuts? So you think that makes this more serious or interesting or necessary to listen to? It's our fucking Secretary of War, God help us.
Flying over their capital, flying over the RGC, Iranian leaders. Look.
Well, yeah, if they can fly over the whole country, I'm assuming that if there's any of them left there, that they're flying over those people. The question is, Are they actually getting them without killing a bunch of civilians and making us more enemies? Doesn't sound like it.
Looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power.
That is right. Hegseth also pointed out that actually the
That is right.
IRGC, Special Operations Commander, who was in charge of trying to kill President Trump in 2024, and yes, there was an assassination attempt on
Yes, there was.
President, actually, two separate.
There was a bunch of them, and they didn't get anywhere near him, and they never actually, and so far as we know, got in the actual country. But they did. Somebody filled out a form in the IRGC in triplicate. They filed it. Money was allocated. There was a budget meeting, and they were like, the Kill Trump Fund was funded for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. They didn't actually get to the procurement stuff. They were still caught up in, taking in bids on the contract and that kind of stuff. But, they did it. There's a receipt somewhere if we didn't burn it up.
Assassination attempts on Trump that were in the planning stages when those.
In the planning stages. How far in the planning stages? How far in the planning stages does it have to be before where it's still in the planning stages, but the person who's thinking it hasn't expressed it to anybody else, therefore not making it an actual plan? Isn't, therefore, every fleeting thought in the planning stage?
Iranian agents were arrested. Well, here's Pete Hegseth saying that the guy who's behind all of that is now dead.
We've known for a long time that Iran had intentions on trying to kill President Trump and or other U.S. Officials. While that was not the focus of the effort by any stretch of the imagination, in fact, never raised by the president or anybody else, I
This whole thing is about that.
ensured and others ensured that those who were responsible for that were eventually part of the target list.
Eventually?
It wasn't the beginning of the effort. We were focused.
Yeah, believe me, Iran didn't put their A team on killing Trump. This is something they maybe they used contractors or something. They were subletting this. They were subcontracting this out to somebody else
on missiles and launchers, and that's the focus. But ultimately, if we had the opportunity to get at those who are
because this is the guy that tried to kill my dad. If I remind you, this is Gee, I wonder why people are getting Iraq flashbacks.
trying to get at Americans specifically, we would. We eventually had the opportunity to do that from the air.
That person's name is Rahman Mokaddam, who's head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Special Operations Division. As far as...
Yeah, so you killed a guy who never got the plan off the ground? How do you know he wasn't just bait? How about... let me present something to you. Maybe Rahman was the Shemp of this crowd, and they were like, you know what? Let's tell everybody that he's in charge, and we'll draw the fire, and then the real team will work on it, undercover, and they'll all be fixated on him. That never crossed your mind. Never just assume you got the guy. All right.
Status of the war, U.S. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper explains the status of the operation.
More than 50,000 troops, 200 fighters, 2 aircraft carriers.
Yeah, the number of troops is what's making people nervous right now.
And bombers from the United States are participating in this operation, and more capability is on the way. In the opening hours of Operation Epic Fury, U.S. Central Command forces, together with Israel, delivered overwhelming and unprecedented strikes into Iran. Now, we're less than 100 hours into this operation, and we've already...
And you can't even see me. I'm in Tampa, Florida right now, and you might as well be looking at like an alligator in the bushes. You're just probably like, why is that head floating over there telling me great military ideas? Bang! I'm wearing camo. You didn't know?
Struck nearly 2,000...
Digital camo. So, like, if somebody's playing 8-bit Call of Duty, you can't see me.
targets with more than 2,000 munitions. We have severely degraded Iran's air defenses and
so we're not ready to go with obliterated yet?
Destroyed hundreds of Iran's...
How many times will we severely degrade them before they're severely degraded?
Ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. And in simple terms, we're focused on shooting all the things that can shoot at us.
Goddamn. So you're used to talking to Hegseth at this point. All right. Now, let's jump over to... Somebody brought it up in the chat room, and we have to bring it up. Kristi Noem, she's been bounced. Well, she got a better job that she has to do less for, that she can run for office using, after Trump kicks off or whatever. Apparently, Bendover is very upset about this. He's yelling at her at the wall. She's yelling at the camera. Fired. Kristi Noem out. Trump announces new DHS secretary, which is Markwayne Mullen, the man with two first names. And I'm just curious. Benny's been turd polishing all week about Iran and about Epstein and stuff. And this is just the third thing he's going to, like, this. He just stands behind Trump with a polishing rag. Wait until Walt Nada is done hosing his ass down. What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
Let me go! This is ridiculous!
Jesus Christ. Is that him? That's supposed to be Trump dropping Kristi Noem off the roof of the White House. And Benny's a fan.
Breaking news, the first beheading of a cabinet member in the second Trump administration has
Easy. We're not that far away. His brain is such gelatin right now that I'm worried that he might actually try to have somebody beheaded.
just happened. President Trump was defending Kristi Noem
Yeah, but I mean, he's only loyal to himself and his own interests. That's always a fucking show. You don't think he actually gives a shit about you, do you?
a few short
Wait, you do, don't you? Sorry. Benny Johnson thinks Trump gives a fuck about what happens to him or whether his viewers eventually look at him as a complete asshole or a gullible dick. So much that he would never lie to you. He'd never tell you something and, give you some spin to help him out. Never promise to give you cover with that tenant media Russia money and then pull back on that, make you look like a right asshole so that people are keeping a real strong eye on you so that if he needs to pull that rug in the future, he's always got you on your heels.
months ago. Now she is out of a job. President Trump saying
she's doing a very good job.
She did a good job.
Totally secure. You forget.
The border is totally secure. Donald Trump asked, this was at the height of the chaos in Minneapolis, is he going to fire Kristi Noem?
Step down.
No. And he said no.
Huh. Are you starting to put two and two together there, Bendover?
But ladies and gentlemen, things have changed. I want to...
No, they haven't. The material circumstances have entered the actualization phase, but all the details are exactly the same. She's useless as fuck. She was basically put there as because Trump thinks she's pretty, and he puts women in charge of things that he wants to fuck up.
Say that I thought it was really strong of President Trump to not fire people the way that he did in the first administration.
Huh. Well, I guess you can only draw one conclusion in that circumstance, or maybe two. One, he's not strong, and you bought it, and two, you're a dipshit.
Obviously, President Trump bending to the pressure of the corporate media in the first...
Obviously, yeah, that's what it is. You sure it's not the deep state? The corporate media? He fired her not because she's an embarrassment who spent $200 million on ads of herself that look like campaigns like she's running in 2028? The corporate media is very happy that she bought ads on their networks.
Administration getting rid of a lot of people that really had his back. A lot of people that were very strong and defending him. He was, I think, tricked into getting rid of them.
I think he says he was tricked into hiring him in the first place.
I don't think that's what's happening here.
No. You're just, that's what you thought then because you were in the process, like in the functional process of your gullibility, as opposed to defending your mistakes now in an attempt to not appear gullible. You know better, and now you're just a fucking liar.
Obviously, that leaves Trump very vulnerable without a lot of allies inside of the White House. I think something else is...
Sorry. Why? Because she was fucking Corey Lewandowski and he got bounced too? What do you think they're going to do? Go on a fucking revenge tour?
Happening right now, but Donald Trump just announced seconds ago that Kristi Noem is out of a job. Who is replacing Kristi Noem? Markwayne Mullen, our friend and senator from the great state of Oklahoma, who will be leaving the Senate and will be heading over to Homeland Security.
That's awesome. Go ahead. How many people are in Oklahoma? Total? Couple million? You wouldn't take somebody from a bigger state with that understands, the difficulties of representing a larger swath of land, California, New York, Texas even.
Goodness gracious.
My stars.
What a world. Effective
What a world. Sorry, have you been watching Wicked again?
March 31st, 2026, the current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous spectacular results, including on the border, will be moving.
That says especially on the border.
To special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere, as we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland.
Yeah, she's going to work for the Shield of the Americas. She's being made effectively the border czar in the same way that Kamala Harris was, which is this thing about, we need to keep the immigrants from coming in the first place, so we got to work in a comprehensive way with our, South American partners to make sure that doesn't happen. That was what Harris was doing, and that's why the numbers were coming down. And he's put her out to pasture. He's basically giving her Harris's old job.
Serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives, 3 in the Senate, Markwayne Mullin, again, the senator from Oklahoma, has done a tremendous job representing Oklahoma. I won a lot of the counties, a MAGA warrior, former undefeated professional MMA fighter. Markwayne truly goes along with the people. Wisdom and courage required to advance the America First agenda. As the only Native American...
All right, fuck me. Markwayne Mullin's the only Native American in the Senate. That's how they're going.
In the Senate. Okay, so a shot at Elizabeth Warren here. Markwayne is a fantastic advocate for the incredible tribal communities. Markwayne will work tirelessly to keep our border safe. Okay.
It says secure, not safe.
Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's done. President Trump has fired Kristi Noem.
Finally, we're starting to replace this ending DEI. Get rid of these women. Put some men in there.
Replace him with strong ally of our program, somebody that I know really well. It's a great...
Yeah, because Kristi wouldn't come on for an interview.
Great dude, Markwayne Mullin. Why did this happen? What?
Because she's an incompetent asshole who was fucking one of her underlings and spending the taxpayers' money converting the DHS plane into a love nest.
What's going on here?
I don't know. It's probably just the mainstream media shitting on her, and poor Trump had no choice.
Kristi Noem has infuriated President Trump, according to reports.
Because of the reporters making him. They just call him up, and Caitlin Collins has been whispering in Trump's ear.
Because Kristi Noem ran a $220 million ad about herself and lied, allegedly. Here we go. President Trump is preparing to fire Kristi Noem. The president's already been asking aides who would be the replacement. We now know. The spokesman for the Homeland Security Secretary said Kristi Noem serves at the pleasure of the president. Well, there you have it. That's all you need. Whenever your spokespeople are saying that, that means you're done. The final straw for Trump was Noem's combative hearing on Tuesday before the Senate Judiciary, where which showed bipartisan frustration with Noem. Her decision to allocate $220 million for a campaign ad featuring herself, urging those living in America to self-deport. While I agree with that message, why would you spend $220 million on such a thing? That's insane.
Believe me, I don't think Trump's upset by that. He would do the same himself. I think it was like the money for the plane, and that she was turning the plane into a fuck nest. And that's just, it just reminds too many people of the Lolita Express right when he's trying to pretend that was never a thing.
That's stupid. That's dumb. I'll just say it. We do videos railing on Disney and woke Hollywood studios for losing hundreds of millions of dollars on stupid movies. Snow White, is a great example. We just covered that. They lost $170 million. So I'm also going to be angry that $220 million.
Sorry, you're of the impression, I'm sure, that it would have done better if Kristi Noem had been the star.
$1 was spent filming an ad, Kristi Noem ad.
Not a ad. She ran lots of ads. They didn't just film one. It wasn't. She bought a lot of ad space all over the place, both in this country and outside the country. There are multiple ads featuring her, dozens of them. It wasn't just one ad. It was a campaign. Which you could argue is why Trump is getting pissed, because it looked like she was teeing herself up to run, and JD is not really popular. Marco's not really popular. This war is making both of them less popular. What if she comes around the outside and pulls a fucking Sarah Palin on everybody?
That's so dumb. That's such a stupid use of taxpayer money.
Sorry, and shoring up Trump's crypto empire isn't?
Anyway, she went up in front of the Senate and she said that Trump told her to do this. Turns out Trump didn't, according to reports, and that pissed off Trump. So that's what's happening here. At the hearing, Noem told senators the president signed off, but President Trump said he hasn't. Trump frequently changes his mind, so I guess we'll see. And now we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, Trump fires Kristi Noem because of her vanity ad. It's not even a great ad. It's so dumb. Everything is dumb.
Yeah, he hired her.
Everyone is so... It's not even a great ad. But again, we're going to have intellectual consistency and credibility here. We criticize woke Hollywood studios for lighting money on...
Oh my God. Just try to tie it to something else. Hold on. I want to... I have her speaking right when this is... I think this is right after she was fired.
It was formed after the horrific events on 9/11, and just 2 years later, as Congress put the department together with the support of the president, 23 different agencies who had a nexus and a focus on defending the homeland were put in order to make sure that they were all following the same mission every single day. So it's a...
Right. So just like the DNI, and the way Trump thinks about the DHS is that it's a fucking secretary job. That they're all the real elements, FBI, CIA, the fucking U.S. Marshals, all the investigative bodies in the states and all that kind of stuff. And DHS is just a coordinating thing. They just plan the fucking picnic, which is women's work. That's why he does it. This is why he put Tulsi Gabbard in as DNI. Because it's women's work. These are, when you come to, be a cabinet secretary, that's the most secretary-like job there is. They're not making decisions. They're in the way Trump thinks of it, they're glorified like PR representatives for the organizations. So that it's like fucking Trump had Rick Grinnell in charge of like CIA last time. Now he's in charge of the Kennedy Center, and he's been flipping out on shitter about the shutdown of the Kennedy Center and all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. If you'll notice, Trump has some trends. He puts women in charge of departments he wants to shut down or do women's work, which is basically just call meetings and make phone calls and write shit down. Secretary work. He puts black people in charge of HUD because that's a black thing. And he put Rick Grinnell in charge of the Kennedy Center because theater is gay. Do you see the... Like, I'm not even joking. He literally put Grinnell in charge of it because Grinnell is gay. And theater is gay. That's literally how he thinks. And these assholes are surprised he got us into a war with Iran.
Very diverse department. It not only has FLETC in it that trains over 130 different federal law enforcement agencies and officers from those agencies. It also includes
Yeah, it's a coordinating body, we know.
CBP, ICE, CWMD, which is countering weapons of mass destruction. So some of you may have gone through some of those trainings to help us detect some of the threats here in our homeland, and also some of the trainings that it takes.
Sorry, I left out secretary and substitute teacher, which he also looks at this as
far as responding to fires and 911 calls.
Please tell us you're joking out. I am not joking, bingo. The only reason Trump puts women in charge of a cabinet position is if he wants to destroy the agency. Think Linda McMahon. They want to go charter schools, so they want to destroy the Department of Education. That's been one of the goals. What they realize, though, is that they can't control the education in the states without those funds being on the hand. You got to have a carrot and a stick, or you can't direct anybody to do fucking anything. So they've had to keep the Department of Education around. They never shut it down because they have no... otherwise, the states could just go, fuck you, we'll pay for it with our own internal taxes anyways, eat shit, and they're off. And so he put her in charge of it, and it's still around, but he wants to kill it. He wants charter schools and private schools and poor people to just fucking have to scramble, buy an encyclopedia and learn like Lincoln. That's basically their attitude. Homeschool your dumbass kids. Don't make the taxpayer pay for, brainwashing your kid to be a good citizen. Right. So he puts women in charge of cabinet positions for areas he wants to shut down. The other area he puts women in charge is areas where he thinks of it as women's work. Coordinating bodies. Women can't do shit, but they can nitpick everybody to get together, and they can have old meetings and fucking book clubs and clatches, and they all sit around and hen. They'll give them the hen jobs. I'm not fucking kidding at all. The HUD person will always be black under Donald Trump, period, end of story. And only because they are black. What the fuck does Ben Carlson know about housing and urban development? Smart as he is, he was a doctor. And not exactly the most motivating speaker. Because HUD is black. That's it. HUD is only for black people. Only black people need HUD. That's Trump. And the other part of it is Rick Grinnell. Why the fuck would Rick Grinnell be in charge of the Kennedy Center? It's a theater. Well, because Rick Grinnell's gay, theater's gay. That's it. That's how Trump thinks. Period. I'm not kidding. So, anyways, she's not. She's going to be part of S.H.I.E.L.D. now or some shit. Now, let me show you. Let me tell you this. Okay, so we're on Bend Over talking about that. Okay, let's jump around. I don't want to do all Iran all the time, and of course the firings or whatever. But if there is a list of human beings, ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's House Sparks Mega Worldwide. If there's a list of people that should keep their head down around the Epstein story, who aren't directly in the files themselves, it's Bill O'Reilly is at the top of that list. Millions of dollars Fox had to spend to deal with his sexual harassment claims. He himself spent somewhere in the order of $33 million paying off a woman to not talk about what he did to her. Now think for a moment, and we've gone through this before, but think for a moment what you would have to do to another human being to not be able to buy them off for $1 million or $5 or $7, $12 million. You're still not going to shut up? $20 million, I swear to God. Just don't tell anybody $22 million. $25 million. Okay, 28. Let me check my... Okay, 30. I'll give you $30 million if you don't tell people what I did to you. 33, that's it. Think about that. What the fuck kind of awful do you have to be up to that it costs you that much to shut somebody up? Before you go, fuck you, say it anyways. I can spend $5 million on a PR campaign to turn the world against you, right? $33 million. And that, I don't think, includes what Fox paid out dealing with his shit. I'm just going to go that it would seem to me it would have to be something violent and repeatedly violent and a terrorizing system where this person felt like they could not go to the authorities without harm coming to them at that level. So, latest Trump Epstein allegations. Bill O'Reilly debunks the latest Trump Epstein allegations.
Epstein files. Now, I'm only covering this
because I'm hoping Trump will throw some, pardons my way in case shit hits the fan.
Because of the absurdity of the situation.
Why would it be absurd? Donald Trump was friends with that asshole for like 30 years.
Okay, and I have to tell you what's going on.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, tell us what's... going on. I'm fairly certain I know that, the president had to be, first they said there were no more files, nothing to release at all. Then he had to be forced by an act of Congress and a veto-proof majority to actually release stuff. And then they've slowly released stuff, leaving the victims' names unredacted, which seems like a threat, while redacting the co-conspirators' names, many of whom are very close to Donald Trump. He himself refuses to testify under oath. So I don't know why anybody would think this is hinky.
So Congress passed a law, and Trump signed a law saying that
Yeah, but guess what? It would have become law even without his signature. Can I just... That has to be said at the beginning of this horse shit all the time. The Epstein Transparency Act would have become law with or without Trump's signature. The vote was overwhelming. Meanwhile, Trump had the two of the members of the four Republicans that were voting for the discharge petition over to the Situation Room to scream at them to overturn their vote, namely Mace and Boebert, the women, because the men scare him, I guess.
So-called Epstein files, more than 3 million pages, were to be released. Okay, so that's there.
Yes, it is there. It's, redacted against the law, unredacted victim names against the law. Full disclosure of the files is there. A file, by the way, is not a page. There's not like one page per file, 6 million files. So we've given you half by giving you 3 million pages. Doesn't work that way on anybody's fucking hard drive, especially when you have terabytes of stuff that is as yet unreleased.
But
face.
President has the power to classify anything he wants, or she.
Jesus Christ, this is okay. All right, yes, use this. This is the defense I've been wanting to do. Yes, please, just go. Trump doesn't even need a reason. He can cover shit up if he wants to.
He wants, and therefore that would supersede the law.
No, it wouldn't. The classification has to be meaningful. It can only be for national security or an ongoing investigation. That's in the law. He can't just make it up.
Now, why would you classify some Epstein file stuff? Because
you're in it.
It's defamatory.
What? No. Because some of the stuff is defamatory and it's already out. What are you going to... only defame people you don't like or you're not in business with? You think maybe like Les Wexner refused to buy into one of Trump's golf course investments a long time ago, and that's why his name got released, but other people he's keeping it fucking hidden? Defamatory? Really? No, it's specifically in the law that you can't redact shit just because it might be embarrassing or defamatory.
Because there was an investigation that proved it's BS.
What?
What is being alleged?
What? Sorry, this is fucking amazing. You look like a one nut scrotum right now. So I'm assuming I'm not watching a video of Bill O'Reilly from like 2012.
So you can't put that stuff out.
Yeah, you can. The law requires it.
And harm individuals who are...
Yeah, you can.
Totally innocent.
Well, they released the victims' names when they weren't supposed to, and those people are totally innocent. Anybody who was hanging around with them is not totally innocent. They might not have been participants in his crimes, but they're adults who are capable of making their own decisions. And by the way, people aren't getting dragged through the coals just because they fucking were the chef at a party or some shit that he threw.
That makes sense to everybody?
No, it does not. After a while, you got to know who the fuck this guy is.
Not to Chuck Schumer. Nope.
Nope. Chuck Schumer from New York won't let it go.
Oh, wait. Roll it.
The law requires
True.
the DOJ to release all the files, not just some of the files, not just the ones they pick and choose and want to do.
Yeah, but the classified part. Yeah.
What? Why? Wait a minute. What do you mean, yeah? Why is this a fucking dunk? What in the fuck is classifiable about any of this stuff? Wasn't One Nut Scrotum a 90s band? I thought they were like a 70s folk act myself.
Chuck, you left that out, didn't you?
No, it doesn't say anything about, like, again, the president can withhold anything for national security reasons, but the law doesn't address that because it doesn't have to. It precludes that concept. It presumes it. It gets ahead of that part. Like that's presumed to be a part ahead of the law itself. Of course, it's like an executive order. At the bottom it says this doesn't create a new law. That's assumed. But everything that does have to do with this, that doesn't have like, I mean, what the fuck do people believe that like Leon Black has a tramp stamp that's the nuclear codes?
So there was an article written by Isaac Shore, who I believe we'll have on this program tomorrow. He's a columnist.
Well, I'm glad that he's writing then.
And there are 4.
By the way, I don't believe in columnism. I mean, I like buildings with columns, but I don't think they should all be designed that way. And I think it's a really rigid architectural belief system.
Interviews done by the FBI with this woman who says that when she was 12 or 13 years old, Trump and Epstein assaulted her. Okay.
No, not okay. Also, 3 out of 4 of their interviews are missing.
The first interview was released because there's no accusations against the president in that. 3 have been held back.
There are accusations against the president in that one, and they go into further detail, and it's been held back.
So, some reporters found out what is in the 3 that are held back.
And why would they be held back if the other ones weren't?
Quote, the president's accuser claims Epstein began to abuse her when she was 13, and at some point brought her to either New York or New Jersey by either plane or car to be assaulted by Trump.
Yeah, it sounds like multiple times to me.
So the woman doesn't know whether she was brought by a car or a plane.
She was a child. She was also more than likely drugged.
You want that out?
Sorry, it's already out. How about just put the rest out?
Second one, okay, same woman. Quote, her implication of Trump makes little sense since his friendship with Epstein.
By the way, this is Isaac Shore's writings on this, not like the FBI's conclusion about this.
Epstein began later in that decade. Cherry on top, she faced criminal charges for fraud, theft, and exploitation of an elderly person.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a cherry on top. Also, I would leave the word cherry out of this. And also, a lot of people who were sexually abused as children have run-ins with the law and difficulties coping and can't live within normal society because of the damage that was done to them. Also, Donald Trump was friendlier with Trump and lied about with Epstein and lied about when they became friends. Way, saying it was way later, and like he got in later and left earlier than was the reality.
Okay, so you're the FBI. You had to interview her
4 times. They interviewed her once, but then there were details that kept coming back that actually matched other shit they found. So again, and again, and again.
Okay, because she made the...
Also, do you think this is the only account? This is the one that squeaked out, motherfucker. This is why you want to keep your fucking powder dry, Bill, before the rest of the files come out and make you look like a right cunt.
These outlandish claims, but she's a nut.
No, Trump is a fraud too, and he's a nut, but not because he's a fraud. He's hurt lots of elderly people. Took advantage of his own sister and his brother.
So goes right back, but it doesn't get released because it's defamatory.
Tough shit. And by the way, if it's not adjudicated and it can't be proven in a court of law, people take that into into consideration and just fall back on, well, he's a pussy grabbing adjudicated rapist anyways. This is not hard to believe, and it doesn't make me hate him more. I don't know that I could. At a certain point, we pegged the needle at E. Jean Carroll, at Pussy Tape from Access Hollywood.
Right?
No, not right.
Not for Chuck. Not for the others. They want it out so they can hurt Trump. That is so wrong.
Well, I would like to say for the record that it isn't just that record. They also want to see what the follow-up was and why you would hide 3 of those as national security or classify them to not release them. If you're going to release the other one, which states these kind of things, it sounds like one of them sounds like of the 4, we got to release this. But of the 4, this is the one that's most preliminary and has the least amount of detail. And then as she presents more detail and it becomes truer and truer, and then we get into the part where whether or not too much time has passed and the law, allows us to prosecute or not, that's where the FBI runs aground. And that becomes a civil suit. And what they would advise her is like, okay, there's a real case here, but we can't bring it because too much time has passed. But a civil suit might be your only answer. And these details you can pass on to that person. And then he becomes president and she's afraid of dying, so she doesn't do the civil case. That would be pretty logical, wouldn't you say?
And I confronted Chris Cuomo with that last week. Go. Wrong. They can classify anything that they want, or else you have trial by mob.
Yeah, that's not why he's classifying stuff.
Okay? Well, that's...
Look at Cuomo just like, what the fuck?
You want trial by mob. No, it's
different.
not. It's exactly the same thing.
You're arguing why they broke the law.
That would, okay, by the way, what Bill is saying is a theory that this would be unconstitutional for a myriad of reasons. It isn't. But this is the Dershowitz defamation defense. This is where they want to try to claw back the law before shit about them comes out by saying it violates their Fifth Amendment rights of protection. But in a lot of these cases, these guys have been, too much time has passed. So there's no jeopardy for them at all, sadly.
No. The law that was passed says you release the Epstein files, but you can classify, if you're the federal government, stuff that's not vetted.
Nope. No, it doesn't. It doesn't say. It says you have to vet it. Where in the world?
You can't. No. Then you have trial by mob. That's what you have.
It's not in the law.
So
I agree with your concern.
Come shooting out.
I agree with your concern.
No,
I agree with your concern.
You can't do that. It's unconstitutional.
Listen.
Okay, so Bill's in the files. I think that's what, right? I think we just got to go there. Or Phil, or by the way, has his own files. I would think probably this is a concern. He's looking down the runway and going, shit, if those files can come out, so can my files. Oh, goddamn. That's, yeah. I think this has to do with like it undoing NDAs. And that's been a big part of Bill O'Reilly's media empire for a very long fucking time.
You can't do it. It's unethical. It's unconstitutional. It's ridiculous. Trial by mob is not what we do in this.
Yeah, but they're not going to be thrown in jail for the stuff that's in there. They would still have to go to trial if you were going to incarcerate them. This isn't getting people with fucking torches in the street.
Country.
I
don't you understand that?
Yeah, this is a guy who's scared shitless of his own files being opened. That's what that is. He thinks this woman he paid $33 million to will go, fuck it, I'm tired of his bullshit, and I'm going to release these things. And if he tries to claw back that $33 million, he can try. I'll make $10 million in the process. Good Lord.
No, he doesn't understand it because he doesn't want to.
Well, I think he doesn't want to defend Epstein's co-conspirators. Is the most generous way of looking at it, but also he's right on the law.
All right. So we have due process. You can't.
Right. Yeah. None of these people are going to jail because they've been vilified the press. You vilified people in the press without evidence your entire fucking career. And
pass a law that says due process goes.
Nobody did. there would still have to be a trial. If the evidence shows this, it would either that this evidence has been hidden or put someplace else, and victims would have access to evidence maybe they didn't know existed in the first place because it was hidden in other cases towards Epstein. I don't even know why I'm arguing with this fuckhead. He doesn't really care. This is really about him worrying that somebody can legally pop open an NDA, and if they can, he's fucked.
Okay, and what they did, that law was challenged.
Dude, it's look like he's arguing like he's getting a phone call from his lawyer that they're coming for him. That's the energy of this. What the fuck are you talking about? They can't pass a law like that. They can't pass a law. No, this is trial by mob. You can't. Well, tell them fucking file something. What am I paying you for? Like, that's what this feels like. Like we're all on the like a video call, a Zoom call as his lawyer.
It's thrown out.
Why isn't it thrown out? Why am I even doing this, Gary?
Hasn't been challenged yet. All right. The final thing on this is
the final thing, right?
Nuts are now using Epstein in the Iranian situation.
What?
Go.
Oh, this is it's a distraction from Epstein files. I think
now we're in war, and the news cycle will be consumed by this. I have to say, we've got to remind people that the Epstein files and the victims are still here. They exist.
It's unbelievable.
What the fuck? This is a dude who accused Clinton of Wag the dog. About Lewinsky.
Thank you for...
Jesus Christ. Boy, did they film that a long time ago. Oh my God, what a dick. Now, I gotta say, the weird defensive posture from some of these folks is fairly impressive. We haven't seen this guy in a while. Hold on, chat room. Hit the like, share the show. Remember Rusty Trombone over here? Apparently he's coming for Bangholio's viewers. Everyone thinks they can change the system, but you can't. The system changes you. It's like the abyss you stare into, which turns out to be Cash Patel's butthole.
Is post-government Bongino somehow tainted? I love Bongino. I loved him before, I love him during, I love him after. But I get it.
Why?
The idea that some people don't like that Bongino was in the government and then left the government. Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about the Bongino one.
Yeah, write something down there so you can have artificial engagement on my fucking channel about some incendiary issue that I'm really kind of pissing in the corners of and really don't give a shit, whatever, and I really don't have, a leg to stand on when it comes to, moral equivalencies.
Army. Did it compromise them? What do you think about any great hero and noble voice once they go into politics? Secretary Kennedy there. Has he been stifled by government? And I love Bobby Kennedy. Is it...
Yeah, I love him. He's great, yeah? Let me tell you what, you fucking cunt, you bastard. Let me tell you something. He was always what he was, and you fucking fell for it, you fucking cringe.
Possible that anyone who goes into the belly of that foul beast will be tainted and contaminated by it because of all the compromises they have to make and all the people they have to negotiate with. And
oh, you mean the American fucking people? Or they gotta represent more than just their fucking constituency that sent them fucking there, and they gotta pop in there and deal with everyone instead of just this little hot group of fucking ex-people that follow them on fucking line. They gotta deal with real voters and real lives and shit like that, you fucking cringe.
You realise what it's like once you're in there. Like the sword of Damocles is the idea. The sword of Damocles.
No, that dangles over your head all the time with the potential of you being killed.
The sword of Damocles is hanging over my head.
Metaphorically.
Massey, do you know about it? Do they have that in Iran?
They had it on The Simpsons. Mr. Burns said it about Homer when he gave him his job back, remember?
He'll slowly regain his confidence as the months and years drift by. Blissful.
Oh, God. I guess this is a good way to avoid actually saying anything of worth about shit. Is that how people do their shows? Play like, pop culture references that are charming to cover for the fact that if you had to say what you need to say, you would lose the very audience that you have cultivated.
Unaware that the sword of Damocles is dangling just above his head. And then one day, when he least expects it...
Excellent. It'll be like the sword of Damocles.
Yeah, not very good.
King or adjudicator who has to make decisions is sitting underneath a kind of portcullis or atrium, and above his
Yeah, we understand the analogy, asshole.
head, unseen by the people he communicates with, hang.
Wait, no. What if the sword of Damocles you're talking about is actual responsibility to a broader group of people? In the case of RFK, it's why he hasn't been 100% anti-vax, for example, because people are starting to fucking die. Children were dying of measles unnecessarily. So he's like, whoop, shit, better roll this back. And in the case of Bongholio, he was having to hide the Epstein files and pretend that Epstein killed himself and that he bought into it and stuff, so much so that he didn't have a sword of Damocles over his head. He fucking split. He resigned in protest without protesting because he's a fucking coward.
A sword. They don't know that sword's hanging above his head. Only he can see it. But if ever he messes up or makes an error, the sword hangs by a fine thread and bam! My point.
What if he just moves to another chair?
About the sword of Damocles was that once you're in a position of power, you're subjected to and exposed to levels of control, authority, and power you didn't know about at all until that point. That is why, to meaningfully change the world, you have to change the systems itself. The system.
Oh, God. Yeah, we got to stop having all people, like, these situations where people have a say in their government. That's fucked up. Because if too many people have a say in their government, you got to listen to too many fucking people. We got to go back to what, we need a new world order based on the really old world order. Or we need to go back to a theocracy or a royal system. Because this whole, like, asking everybody shit is, it's toxic.
Them itself. Why are we pretending we...
And again, by the way, what the fuck? People say this all the time. Especially assholes like this. The fuck do you mean then? What do you mean? We're not going to have trial by jury anymore? You're not going to have... Our judicial system in the functioning structure that it has. We're not going to vote. We're not going to have, we'll switch to a parliamentary system, and the parliamentary systems will switch to a congressional and Senate-based system. We'll have a committee instead of a president, and anybody with a committee instead of a president will get a president because the system doesn't work because it's a system. The fuck are you talking about? We got to tear the whole system down, man. All right, and replace it with what? Exactly the same system, man, but that favors me.
We live in a world where digital democracy is not an option, where we couldn't use the same technology they're using, facial recognition technology, digital ID.
Why not?
Or technologies of that type to have direct participatory democracy. For example, if you were talking about the Mayor of London, if you want ULEZ cameras, vote and have ULEZ cameras. If you want to lose ULEZ cameras, those cameras that film cars as they're coming into London and people get a surcharge or additional charge, this amounts to a
traffic cameras.
Car tax, really, on the auspices of protecting
red light cameras, we call them.
In climate change, you know how the deal works by now. If you're going to get rid of the ULEZ cameras, you will have to generate the £220 million per annum that the ULEZ cameras generate. You could get that through unique levies for planning permission, for construction. There's a whole variety of...
Or you could make a case that the benefit of getting rid of them outweighs their existence. And by the way, this is where you're going. This is going to like red light cameras. That's your fucking standard. Trump signing deals with fucking Palantir, and you said he was going to be the peace president. He launches an attack on Iran, allegedly on behalf of Israel and the GCC. And it's traffic cameras that don't do facial recognition. You have a license number. So what's the option? A cop on every fucking corner that we all pay for to try and stop people running red lights because dead people at crossings are sad and wrong.
Ways of doing it. The point.
Meanwhile, this fuckwad has 4 rape charges in 2 different countries.
Is this
8 total, I guess?
The reason
so far
Mamdani is mayor of New York right now is because people are sick and tired of the system. The people of
No, he's mayor of New York because he won the most votes in the election. But he was in a 5-person runoff that on the Democratic side, and ended up running against two right assholes, Cuomo, who's fucking gross, and like the Guardian Angels dude who nobody took seriously. And he edged them both out. It ended up being a three-way race where he won. That's the nature of ranked voting. That's the nature of how this went. And still a mayor of a fucking city.
New York will have seen Donald Trump get elected, a populist, a popular leader who's clearly in a bunch of pathological ways, I'd say, outside of the system. And nevertheless,
What? Why? How? He's literally carrying out what the PNAC guys wanted in the 90s with Iran. He's literally following through with what they wanted. The Project for a New American Century. The tax breaks. Same shit's been on Mitch McConnell's desk for fucking decades. You think he invented bigotry, racism, sexism, and anti-immigrant sentiment in the Republican Party? He brought that out from outside and forced it onto the system?
Here they still are, the Epstein
Curtis Sowell,
files, the wars, Pfizer's still powerful, big oligarchical tech figures are still powerful, and you don't want that anymore, do you? None of us do. That's the Bongino effect. Bongino went out, he went into the system, he was subject to the sword of Damocles, as is Bobby Kennedy, anyone who goes in.
No, he isn't. He left on his own. He could have stayed and just continued to suck at his job. He didn't quit because the sort of Damocles was hanging over his head. He quit because he's a coward and a fuck up and he doesn't know how to do the job. He had fucking training wheels. They gave him an assistant deputy director to run the actual day-to-day for him because he didn't know how to do it. He wasn't even neither one of these dickheads were brick agents or worked their way up as special agents or know how the FBI works at all. They know how to attack it. That's what Patel's job was under Trump 1. But they don't know how to make it run right, which is, by the way, why both of them were put in charge, to hamstring it around the Epstein files for Trump's benefit.
To that situation, and they deal with compromises that we on our side can't see. Well,
oh yeah, pitiable.
That's not their fault then, and by definition it means the system itself is incapable of delivering.
Whoa, no. No, it doesn't. We don't. If they fuck up their job, it's not because nobody can do that job. Plenty of people have really well.
Delivering the change that is required. In fact, any system that could deliver change wouldn't be the system the people that are powerful are what would want, because that system would not preserve their power, and that is their absolute priority.
Okay, this is so fucking stupid. They won't let us have a system that works. What system would work? I don't know, some sort of like voting thing where people get to pick a leader or direct voting where we all use our phones to vote and somebody else carries it out. So we'd have like accountants running things, and organizationally we'd have to agree on sort of a generalized vote. We'd probably have somebody in charge because we don't have time to do it. We couldn't vote all day every day on shit like this. It's like a second career for everyone. So, like what we have now, except I don't have rape charges against me. That's what it is. Like basically the same, because I was totally fine with it until they pointed out that I was a bit rapey. And then it's the system, man.
Understand the Kissinger report, don't you? You know what the Kissinger report was. In the Kissinger report, Henry Kissinger, the famous diplomat and aide to various presidents of your great nation, revealed that there were...
Your? Well, if you're not an American, feel free to fuck off. Don't you have a prince that's been kid fucking for a long time that just got bounced and took him for fucking ever? Hey, how about go deal with that, you tit?
Countries, among them Puerto Rico and the Philippines, that had to reduce their populations in so much that those territories were regarded as potential resources for America down the line. You can read this now. Put the Kissinger report in Google. Read it now.
Yeah, who gives a shit? It didn't result in anything. I think I guess they all get credit for having him write up something awful and disregarding it. Sure, was there a big population cull on Puerto Rico that we all missed?
The idea being that America needs the resources of Puerto Rico or the Philippines and doesn't want their population to grow at an aggressive rate, because then they'd need their inverted commas, their own resources for themselves. What strikes me as remarkable about that
is that the reason you're calling it the Kissinger report is because it's not like a congressional report about it, because it never made its way up the chain so much that it was the policy of the fucking country, because we have a representative democracy. And any rando motherfucker who finds his way into being an advisor to the president, and Donald Trump has surrounded himself with lunatics galore, can write up all the fucking Stephen Miller papers they want. But until it becomes law because we the people agree on it, it doesn't fucking matter what the awful among us want if it never manifests. And if they try to do it secretly, they'll get caught and told to fuck off. Unless you think there's a way to eliminate the worst impulses of humanity somehow. And I'm sorry if I don't trust someone, again, with 8 rape charges against them, 4 in 2 different countries, to be the person to kind of like police morals.
It indicates immediately to you that projects take place that go beyond the term limits of any individual, even double term, president. Any 4-year term or any 8-year term is superseded by the revelations of some...
Well, it's funny how the some of those presidents further those plans and the other presidents don't. That they either have to deal with the status quo that was created by those plans and find a way out of a quagmire, or they don't follow through and kickstart this shit. And if the system doesn't like you, man, they'll kick you to the fucking curb. Then I would look to one-term presidents, I guess, in the recent history as a sign that perhaps the system doesn't want Joe Biden, man. They can't take it. They wanted to move him out after the people put him in and put Trump back in, man.
Like the Kissinger report or Manifest Destiny more broadly, or the
more broadly
great American project that led to the Iraqi, Afghanistan, Iraq.
You mean the Project for a New American Century, written by a conservative group? Again, the same people that picked Donald Trump's judges. The same people that pick Donald Trump's judges.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Those people?
Iranian wars and the North Korea conflict. What I'm telling you plainly...
The North Korea conflict?
...is something you already know, that real...
Why wouldn't... Yeah, I can't... Why would we be conflicted about or with North Korea? What's not to like? Right, Rusty?
Power is not in the Republican administration or the Democrat administration.
Yeah, it's always about the fucking, 2 legs in the same pair of pants. It's the system, man, as soon as Republicans get in. But when Biden's president, you think he bitches about the system and control and the system will only let you do so much? No, this is all Biden's idea. All this shit that's happening, it's not what Trump would do. It's what Biden wants to do, right? All during Biden's presidency, this dopey motherfucker was like, Biden this and Biden that, and Biden's trying to do this, and Harris will do the same thing, and these are the small group of people in the White House with Biden and Harris are doing this kind of thing. As soon as Trump gets in, starts doing shit, breaking promises, lying his ass off, starting wars, like, I guess I don't know, maybe they've got a sort of Damocles over his head. Maybe they're threatening him, maybe they're blackmailing him with Epstein files that he's managed to keep hidden so far. Right, and by the way, so close to that, when you bring up the sword of Damocles, you're like, okay, so that's your excuse for why Trump is breaking his promises, is because there's something hanging over him. Like what? It's financial or sexual, right? In this case, I would argue it's both.
Administration, but in the systems itself. That's
right. Yeah, it's a system. When Trump's in, it's the fucking system. When Biden's in, it's fucking Biden and the liberals and the left and the woke. This is like this part of it. This whole argument is the laziest, shittiest, weakest nonsense. You fucking tit. Every time this happens, every time these motherfuckers want to walk back the fact that they supported Trump, they were filleting him at every turn, high-fiving him when he was gross to women and minorities. And then he does something that they don't like, and it's the system, man. He's got a sort of Damocles hanging over his head. He doesn't have a choice. Nobody really does, man. Biden had a choice, though. apparently he was doing what Hunter Biden told him to. Remember that shit? He was one of the purveyors of that horse shit. Yeah, it was. In case you were wondering, Hunter Biden's why we have a infrastructure bill for the next 26 years to rebuild roads and bridges and pull the lead out of our water system and get rid of asbestos and lead paint and rebuild schools and all that kind of. That's because Hunter Biden twisted Joe's arm. Meanwhile, this like dude who found Jesus in cell block C is shitting all over a president who went to church every fucking weekend and could quote, who taught Sunday school, the same as fucking Jimmy Carter, to support an adjudicated rapist who brags about grabbing women by the pussy. Gee, I wonder why these assholes thought they might have something in common.
Before we leap into the mad, bizarre occultism revealed by the Epstein files, it's...
Sorry, what's bizarre about it? I thought it was the system.
Just generally and plainly obvious. If you want to
obviously
change those systems, you can't do it through the channels and conduits of those systems.
Oh yeah, this is his limp dick version of Nick Fuentes. Don't vote. Which I'm fine. If people listen to him and they're not going to vote, fuck them anyways. Most of them don't vote to start with. And when they choose to vote, they vote for people like Trump. So good riddance to bad rubbish.
We even need to have armed revolutions and organized resistance at the level of militia. That's not possible in a country like the United Kingdom or the United States, where you've got serious, proper, professional armies. So you have to organize in a way that uses technology and communication to bypass, disrupt, and unsettle.
Yeah, you need a digital murder squad. You need a Facebook guillotine.
Their power. This is possible. It's sort of, in some ways, inevitable.
No, it isn't. If there's a system to be built like you were talking about, gather up a bunch of your rapey rich friends, move to an island and start it yourself. You guys will kill each other in a Lord of the Flies circle jerk in a month. The reason they call it an establishment is because it's taken a long fucking time to put together. And people get tired of assholes like you suggesting we etch-a-sketch our entire way of life because A, you don't understand it, and B, you choose not to participate in it, you rapey fuck.
And we are at the beginning of the fight for how information is used to manage power.
Do you think he knows that that's an empty sentence devoid of meaning or value? I think he does. There have to be times when you're like, I'm speaking, and I'm thinking about the fact that I'm speaking, but I'm not thinking about what I'm speaking about. So these words are just coming out of my face. I keep talking, otherwise people will know I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying. Huh?
My argument to you is this. Do you believe that the pandemic was possibly always about population control?
No. Because it didn't control the population.
Always along as revealed in the Kissinger report. Do you recognize that there's a trend, technologies and ideas that are piloted abroad by colonial and imperial powers, whether
Sorry, who? Russia? China? The United States? The tripolar world? The fucking Europeans? The MBS and everybody, the rich dudes in the Middle East who have their own reason? Sorry, do you think there's one big... He does. Well, he doesn't really believe it. He wants you to believe that there's one big fucking Jewy Rothschild group running everything.
In Iraq or Afghanistan by the British and Americans, whether it's the 77th Brigade, a PSYOPs unit, this is real, you can look at this, run by Mark Lancaster, husband of Caroline Dinenage, that was set up to deal with problems in the Middle East, but then was ultimately in COVID used to control domestic information problems, what they call misinformation.
Right, but that actually turned out to be misinformation. Sorry, did the lockdowns kill a statistically significant number of Brits, of UK citizens? Did it forever break people? I mean, the people that that are the children and grandchildren of people who survived the battle of like being bombed by the Germans to dust. Those very same people couldn't handle an 8-month lockdown and then vaccination for their own safety. Sorry, we all, like, what? I forget. I missed the date when we were all supposed to turn into fucking zombies anyways.
These problems are beyond the remit and reach of government if government are just engaged in the brokerage of handling populations on behalf of real power, then
we can't blame Trump. That's what this is. We can't blame Trump for this. He's got a sword of Damocles over his head. If he doesn't do what they tell him to and bomb Iran, they'll release the shit about him fucking children and take back all of his crypto winnings and shut down his golf courses that they pay for with Russian funds through Deutsche Bank. Can you blame the guy? Who would do that to their own fortunes?
We, the people that...
Oh, fuck off. Look at this fucking... this like side angle of his goddamn desk. Like he's giving a speech to a stadium.
Are being controlled by them, have to unite in new ways and propose ourselves new systems of government. And
go for it. Let's hear it. New system of government. Hey, shit or get off the pot, you asshole. What is it?
Here's one I'm proposing. Direct democracy. Using the technology that means that everything from X to Grok to Polymarket to ChatGPT can operate to aggregate our electoral will, to have true mandates. If you want to have a...
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you want to vote by phone. Okay. Your phone is your digital ID. So he is arguing for digital ID. Knock yourself the fuck out. This is the same argument we have about voter ID. If you want to give everybody a free fucking ID, I'm all for it. If you're going to charge people for it, eat shit.
State where there's abortion, have a state where there's abortion. If you
don't like gays being married, then if they move to your state, they're no longer married and fuck them. Why don't we just break the country up into 50 small countries? And then break the EU. Let's Brexit every 6 blocks.
Don't. If you want taxes, have taxes. If you want low, high, whatever it is you want, direct democracy always must be the principle. Participation, not mandated, but possible.
And not guaranteed, actually. You'd have to be able to afford a phone, wouldn't you? So if the rich people take a vote to not give the poor people phones, or... they take a vote before everybody gets on their voting britches. They put a vote forward that says only people in a certain class are allowed to have the digital ID voting phones. Then the rest of you can't do it forever and ever, and you can't have another vote unless they give you permission to have the vote. Oops. Sorry, bitches.
Well, and optional, using these very devices and unique codes that show that you are a registered voter in that community. This could happen everywhere.
Yeah, this is literally... Alex Jones says this is digital ID and it's the sign of the devil, and go for it, man. Yeah, start pitching this shit.
Overnight, and we have to start pushing for it. It doesn't matter if it's me that does it or you that does it.
It's not going to be you. And eventually it'll be the way you identify yourself to vote, but the voting will happen at the same time. And it'll still be representative because we don't all have time to fucking do the paperwork of our own fucking democracy or stay informed about it enough. That's why we have representatives. Unless he's just going to straight, like, hand it over to fucking AI, which is probably where he's going.
Because it's the idea that's important, not the thing itself. You want ideas and principles that withstand the test of time. Jesus Christ is access to eternity. He's...
Not if you don't believe in him. And also, why would you need access to eternity? If we're all God's children... Why would you have to say the same fucking thing as somebody else in the same fucking... Why would God care about the order of fucking words as a definitional entry into the kingdom? Like, he can't judge you based on your works. He fucking sees you every day, right? He sees everything you fucking do. You're the nicest people in the fucking world. But if nobody tapped you on the fucking shoulder and said, hey, mate, You got to say the magic incantation. You can't get into the fucking kingdom. And nobody told you that, and you got hit by a fucking bus. He's going to send you to fucking hell because you didn't say the magic fucking words. What the fuck are we burning witches for if this bullshit is about word incantations to get to fucking heaven, you cunt? Jesus Christ. You're judged by how good a human being you are. And if you're in hell, it's a hell of your own fucking making. So shut your fucking lying gob. I fucking can't stand this. You really think this is how it fucking works, boy? You think you can step past good fucking people into the kingdom of fucking heaven because you say the words that you saw on fucking television or you saw some Paula White fucking video like you're reading witchcraft out of a fucking book, and how you are and who you fucking are doesn't fucking matter. Well, I got news for you, boyo. You are not gonna like it through the gate you're going. How's that? Other than that, I got no opinion. I gotta tell you, I hate that creepy son of a bitch. I'm over time, and there's something else I wanted to there's a couple things I wanted to cover. I'm just gonna jump into these quickly. Otherwise, I'll end up talking like that all fucking night. And I've got to say, once you start talking like this, it's fucking hard to stop. You know what I mean? Like, if I moved back to fucking England, where most of my family line's from, and I fucking settled in there, you're goddamn right I'd be talking like this everywhere I fucking went. Right? It's hard. I'm convinced that the Scottish accent was a character that everybody started doing. It's like somebody did it like it was Pee Wee Herman, and everybody just started copying it. This one. Fine point with Chanel Rayon. Chanel Rayon. Chanel Rayon is on the Orange Anus Network, for those of you who don't know. She teed up the first question to Donald Trump back in 2016 that allowed him to answer the questions the way he wanted to. So they served him up questions so that he could act like he knew what the fuck he was talking about and literally scripted the answers.
One of the sad realities of growing up.
One of the sad realities is realizing that you were suckered into climbing onto Donald Trump's plane and thinking he wasn't going to play grab ass the second you reach for some of the canapes.
Is there comes a point where we outgrow our heroes.
Speak for yourself. Mine fucking rule. I got a bunch of heroes that stood the test of time. Lived and died. Catherine O'Hara just passed away. Came and went with nothing but good in her wake. A real, complete human being with no massive regrets at all. Good woman, good person. So fuck you, lady. I stand by Paul Stanley. He's a great fucking dude. So, I've met a bunch of my heroes. They're fucking awesome. And if they aren't, they don't stay my heroes for long. But it's not because there's a problem with heroes. It's because I was projecting onto a person or thought something of them that wasn't true. And then I learned something. And because it's the traits of the person that are meaningful, not the person that embodies it. Because, again, it's not Jonestown, except in your case, you dippy shit.
The MAGA movement has arrived.
Bannon and Tucker, MAGA's Tokyo Roses.
At that moment, it seems.
Oh my goodness. You don't say.
Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson, once great lights, once
And you have shined so very, very brightly, Roy.
shining stars, have fallen.
I mean, one of them looks like a homeless dude who keeps sexually harassing women at the same fucking street corner until he gets rounded up. And the other one is dweeb Alex Jones and has always been a shitty, self-involved, rich, like, Nepo baby who doesn't give a fuck about poor people unless it's for ratings. So, no. So, I mean, again, a shining star in terms of them being a great example of MAGAdom.
They were once shining stars in the conservative resistance.
Shining stars.
And their luster diminishes by the day,
Someone needs to polish those stars. And I think that analogy doesn't work.
hour. Tucker Carlson was once a stalwart critic of radical Islam. Remember this?
We can debate the details here, but I think it's important to acknowledge a baseline, and that is that there have been an awful lot of attacks where actual people died in the United States and in Europe, committed by people saying really clearly we're acting in the name of Islam. And other Muslims say, you don't act in my name and you're perverting our religion or whatever. But there's still people who have killed a lot of other people in the name of Islam. So it's
wow, now do the NRA.
It's not like some mass fantasy.
Now do Timothy McVeigh. Now, Jim Jones was allegedly a Christian. Keep at it. Keep digging, stupid.
Law enforcement is acting out of. This is a real thing, and I don't understand why groups like yours won't acknowledge the reality of that, because it is there. It's true.
That was not long ago.
Yeah, he was so young and puffy. I don't know, was it too much dairy or...
Now, he'll do anything to avoid criticizing Islam. In fact, he's praising Islam, all to criticize Israel.
How does that work?
You should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And, you know, if
oh, sorry, you think that's Sharia law and not just rich people not being afraid to kill poor people who dare touch their shit and can't escape if they tried? You do realize it's easier to run an organization like that in a city like that when it's surrounded by miles and miles of desert and unswimmable ocean. It really makes heists difficult.
people want to get wasted, they do it at home.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can't do it in public or they'll flog you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I don't. Boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
You know, I don't know anyone in the United States in the last 24 years who's been killed by radical Islam.
Attacking people on the...
In the last 24 years, right?
Attacking millions
It's weird that he stops right at 2001, I guess. Is that when that was said?
of Americans because they're Muslims? It's disgusting.
Yeah, we know. We're way ahead of you, asshole. You know, you made fun of George Bush for saying shit like that.
I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm never going to... I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not.
Steve Bannon claims to be the...
Well, I would like to say for the record that a secret jihadi, that's exactly what they would say. I'm just saying, you know. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a secret jihad, I guess. All right.
The Chinese Communist Party's top enemy, when increasingly...
Well, yeah, but Guo Wenguai wasn't really a Chinese dissident. He was pretending to be a dissident to draw the other dissidents out so they could be dealt with by the Chinese government, and he was given a bunch of money to fork over to people so that they could watch how they spent it and cut down those networks, and Bannon was helping to do that, pretending himself to be against the CCP while being basically funded by it. And it's not so much that he turned, it's that you're a fucking sucker and can't do math.
We are noticing how similar Bannon's positions are with the CCP when
Weird.
it comes to foreign policy in Israel. Or we notice Bannon's dubious relations with so-called CCP exile.
Yeah. Some of us pointed that out years ago, and mainly to point out how fucking stupid you are, not because it's, pretty patently obvious. Obviously, as Tucker would say.
Exile, with quotes, Miles Kuo.
我摸半天都是肚子，我摸啥呀？摸半天得摸2小时还没离开肚子呢。
Yeah, high tools in it. You still got a big belly.
Love you. So great. Thank you, Miles. Thank you. Love you. Thank you.
Now that we're alone on this boat, we're never going back. The sequel to Dead Calm sucked.
God, thank God we can't win.
Tucker, Bannon, these two men, once he...
Hey, asshole, you do realize you're playing video of them from years back? Like, the recent interview that he was doing, that's not new of Tucker. This has been since at least Trump won. And that footage of Guo and Guai and Bannon is years old, too. It's not like, oh, fuck, when did this happen?
Heroes, too many, have fallen because it seems they're either being paid by foreign adversaries.
Or always were.
Or they've fallen into the pits of addiction, be it money, alcohol, or power.
Alcoholic money. Maybe they just, maybe they drench their money in alcohol and squeeze it into their mouth.
Who's to say?
But perhaps someone is bribing them with layered shirts.
But you can't honestly look into the eyes of either of these men and not...
You're right, I can't. It's nauseating.
...think they are in some kind of spiritual, internal turmoil.
Why would you say that? This guy interviewed Epstein for 15 hours and only released 2 hours of the footage, and the other guy got raped by a demon while his wife slept through it. I mean, it seems completely reasonable.
And they're taking it out on Trump. They're taking...
Oh, poor fellow. Who also betrayed what he said, too, just like they did. And he's mad at Tucker, but he still likes Steve.
It out on...
He just defended Steve again.
Israel. They're taking it out on you.
What? On me? How? What the hell?
Well, saying they're just asking questions, looking for the truth, or they're the true MAGA patriots, unlike...
Yeah, which is what they've been saying the whole time, and it's always been a lie.
Everybody else.
You know what I mean? Like, totally.
But the deviance goes deeper. They are undermining Trump, all while pretending they love him. This is a sad problem, and it's not...
It is. It's very sad. It's super sad. This whole problem is really sad. Hold on. How sad? This sad.
Small one. They sound increasingly like Tokyo Rose with a lot of audience members.
Yeah.
And that's why this matters. Tucker Carlson's podcast regularly ranks near the top of the Apple Podcast news charts, which track real-time download popularity in the United States. So we get a pretty accurate read. Chartable data consistently places Steve Bannon's War Room among the most listened to political podcasts in the country. That means millions of monthly downloads and a core activist audience during election cycles. It does not take a majority of voters staying home to flip control of Congress. It takes a fraction.
Yeah, these guys.
If even a small percentage of Republican voters become demoralized and sit out the coming midterms, the math shifts rapidly. And when the math shifts rapidly, control of the House and Senate shifts with it. In a political environment...
Sorry. I beg your pardon. I thought this was bad news. Sorry, I thought we were... the way you were talking, I just thought that, what you said was going to happen this fall would be bad. And then I realized, I was like, wait a minute. It would be better if things went that way. So okay. Well, I'm sorry you feel bad, but I feel a lot better. So you're saying that just Tucker and Bannon alone, with the people that they reach, could give Democrats the House and the Senate this fall? All right. Well, don't threaten me with a good time. Well, let's jump ahead because I've got the Hodge twins. This is only one of the Hodge twins, but they are twins. So which one is this? You don't know. Nick was right. That's right. Two black conservative guys have their own show arguing that Nick Fuentes was right. They also think, Candace knew what she was doing or something. They had a Candace video too. But let's... Nick Fuentes was 100% right about Trump, and the Iran war proves it. You think Tucker and fucking Steve Bannon are a problem? Wait till the people that like the Hodge twins and Nick Fuentes, which is I'm just going to say a splintered demographic, as it were. Perhaps politically, ideologically very close, but, in terms of comfort with their fellow Republican divergent paths, let's say.
Pause, twins. Pause.
Got a damn good show for you.
Test. Yeah.
And I understand why you didn't vote, because we're doing a lot of evil things across the world in the name of our biggest ally, Israel.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to backfire because Trump ran the first time on America First, which is we're going to get out of the Middle East. And it's very obvious that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he meant at all. I think he ran on America First because it was a Nazi phrase to keep us out of World War II, and it was a fucking it was a wink and a nod to crowds like yours that he was going to be on board with racism, and so you bought into it. But there's no fucking way we're getting out of the Middle East. Donald Trump's major funding shift went from Russia and Deutsche Bank to the Middle East during his first term and continued after that. And he's trying to build on that. I know you assholes want this to be about Israel, and Israel certainly is one of the kinetic partners in it, and they benefit from this. But Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, they all benefit as much or more than Israel does.
After October 6th.
And Donald Trump, that's where he's getting his money from. It wasn't the Israelis that gave Jared Kushner a fucking $3 billion slush fund to play with, was it? It wasn't, the Qataris, gave, sold property or had Tucker Carlson buying property there. He's not buying a fucking house in Israel. They're ratcheting up their relationship with and their favoritism towards conservatives. What the fuck do you think Live Golf is about?
7th, they supported Trump because they knew he would support them in the Middle East. That's why I said I'm out. He's gonna.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because after October 7th,
this is what happens when your fixation is too easy to throw a bridle on, too easy to throw a bit in its mouth. Like, hey, he hates Jews. We'll just make everybody think this is about Israel. And again, they are certainly our partner in this, and they benefit a lot from it. But it totally takes the heat off of Saudi Arabia, doesn't it? Literally their biggest religious rival with a much bigger population is being taken out by the United States and Israel.
They said, even a lot of the liberal Jews said, we got to support Republicans because Biden was trying to stop Israel from doing what they're doing in Gaza. It wasn't.
Right. And what was the prevailing mythology? Good old Genocide Joe. Trump's going to come in. He's going to be the peace guy. We're going to make a peace deal, be over in an afternoon. Ukraine war is going to end. We're going to have Gaza. I mean, that Trump Plaza Gaza thing, he was just fucking joking, I guess.
Successful, but they knew a Republican Congress, a Republican president. Trump already gave him $12 billion. He's been in office 3 months, gave him $12 billion. They're going to sign another memorandum of understanding that'll give them foreign aid every year for 25 years. Previous one was 10 years. This one's going to be 25 years. They're going to give them more money every year. So they knew that electing him, he's going to be the more pro-Israel of the two. That's why they put him in. So I said, I'm just not going to vote for that. These are two bad options. And it's going to backfire on America First.
Yeah. When I see, every time I try to say his name, Kanye pops in my mind with that damn net. I see him, Netanyahu sits in his chair and he tucks him in.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell was that? I've never seen Trump tuck somebody in a chair. A male.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about anybody but himself or whatever. But he also needs, he was going to shit on the chair. He tucked his suit jacket under there because Trump will leak liquid shit all over your furniture if you don't. So Netanyahu was just protecting antiques, I suppose.
He did it a few times. He did it with Modi, with the Indian president.
Oh, did he?
I'll be objective with that. He did it. I see.
He did it with Modi, the Indian president? Okay, now
and also tuck him in. You mean pushed his stool in?
Feel so bad. Well, it caught my eye when he did it with Netanyahu.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just gross.
Well, and ask Tucker Carlson. Apparently, Modi and Netanyahu are in it together. So maybe they split custody of the Epstein files.
Yeah.
They look really happy. They voted for Trump. They were like giving away trucks to promote Trump rallies and shit like that. These guys were super excited for Trump last time and the time before that. Man, look at them now. Hodge twins, I'm still waiting. You could show up in my comment section, tell me how I was right about every fucking thing. You don't have to say that. That's too much. I'm asking too much of you. How about just call yourself an asshole for buying his nonsense and then I don't know, go wander in the woods for, a decade contemplating your navel and then come back when you have something valuable to give to society. Besides creatine tips, which I will always be grateful for, by the way. They're the ones who I learned how, that creatine is basically flavorless. So why pour it in a beverage or something and let it get diluted and a lot of it ends up at the bottom of the cup and you don't actually get it? So just pop it back. Just take the, dose it and then just drink something afterwards. Wash it down with something, but it doesn't taste like anything. Totally good. That's 100% total credit to the Hodge twins on that. All right. One last turd polish. Eric Metaxas. Can you trust Trump's decision to strike Iran? He knows what he's doing. Here he is, jerking off a ghost all over his hair on Air Force One. By the way, what the fuck is with the rusty handle there? What the fuck is going on there? Is this just Florida? Is that what? It's just Florida saltwater? All right, here we go.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back. I'm very...
Oh, my God. Benny Johnson has aged horribly.
Excited to have as my guest right now a dear friend, Andrew Colvett.
Oh, man. At least my AI slop is intentional AI slop.
You know him from TPUSA.
No, I really don't.
Executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. Andrew, my friend, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Eric. It's great to be here.
We're living in crazy times.
No, we're not. This makes total logical sense. Donald Trump is a sociopath who will do anything to cover his participation in the Epstein files and also anything that will hide the fact that his economic policies have shit the bed, and attacking Iran kind of helps on both fronts, so it was inevitable. Not crazy at all. There's actually a strategy to it that makes it sound more like Susie Wild's idea than it is Trump's. But please continue. Fuckhead.
But what I just said to my audience is that President Trump has earned my trust.
Okay, so this is the he got a memo. This is when you get calls directly. This is the same thing, almost verbatim what Glenn Beck said on the Blase.
So whatever he does,
anything he does, even if it entails releasing the victims' names, which could threaten their lives, but covering the co-conspirators' names in the Epstein files, I have to believe there's a greater plan from the Lord.
My first instinct is to trust him, even if I have questions. And I feel like...
Why? Sorry, I trust a lot of people, but it doesn't require me... The reason I trust him, it doesn't require me to override my common sense or not ask questions. Why are those mutually exclusive concepts? The only reason that they would be mutually exclusive is if the person is untrustworthy.
People are way too skittish. It's like...
What's a fucking Middle East war? When have those ever sprawled into a quagmire? Shut up.
Guessing has become like the national pastime where people are like, well, what about this? What about this?
We're in a democracy, motherfucker. We have the right to second guess things. What are you talking about? How dare you question the king?
What about this? And my answer is like, what about you humble yourself a little bit and
understand that Donald Trump is a great man and you are simply an American citizen, or maybe you aren't, or I don't even know.
Understand that for sure the president has information you don't.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he does. The other Epstein files. He has that information. And he's got to do this or that will come out.
So unless you have something substantive to say, a lot of the criticism.
I think a lot of people have things that are based on history, experience, expenditure, their own tax dollars, how they want them spent, what they think is a good idea or a bad idea, and their own perception of the shifting justifications for this war and whether it's a war or not, because it is.
It's initially just easy sniping, and I that bothers me because this is very serious.
Yeah, leave him alone, okay? You can't criticize him. I would never do that to Biden or to right.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with it.
Yeah, totally, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when Biden would make a decision, we were like, give him some time. Okay? Maybe he's doing it for a good reason. Maybe he knows more about the financial impacts of student loans on, and he's looking at those numbers and he's like, oh fuck, it's bad now, but it's gonna be worse, and he's trying to remedy that, and leave him the fuck alone. I'm just fucking with you. We only do that for Trump.
Exactly what you just said. I did this multiple times with Charlie, wrestling through, kind of the build up to kinetic strikes like we saw over the weekend in Iran, and understanding that there are things that we simply don't know. There are strategic urgencies on the ground that we sometimes don't know.
Yeah, maybe Iraq really did have WMDs after all this.
Of course, privately, we are lobbying for peace, but we also have to understand, I made a bunch of calls around.
Sorry, so why would you lobby for peace in private if you're under the impression that there are details that might, preempt peace? If your acknowledgement and the whole point about how you talk in public, you don't criticize Trump in public because he's got information you don't have, why the fuck would you lobby for peace if you don't have that information? It works both ways, dumb fuck. Try harder.
Around Eric on Saturday before we did our live stream, reacting to the breaking news. And I heard it from multiple people that there was concerns that even though the Fordo attacks had been, Operation Midnight Hammer last summer had been successful, that Iran was basically trying to drag this out and that they were working on dirty bombs. They were also making urgent calls to China to acquire hypersonic missiles.
Okay. Heard from where? And the other people on the podcast with you spitballing don't count. Because we're still in the same ignorance matrix you used to excuse not going after Trump in public for this shit. Look, even tax ass doesn't believe him.
Those are carrier sinkers, Eric. So
so think about it, okay? Fuck you.
If they would have been successful on either end, then, I understand that there are realities on the ground that could have moved up the timeline for something like this for President Trump. Listen, we don't.
And there might not. And one of the realities on the ground that moved the timeline up might be the fact that they're looking at the economic data and it's all terrible going into the midterms. And on top of that, the Epstein file crawling release is ruining his fucking numbers. And one of the only ways to salvage them traditionally with Republican voters is to go to war and fucking stay there.
Don't always know all the details, but to your point, President Trump has a proven track record now of not getting us in forever wars. You heard.
Well, yes, no, he doesn't. We're still hitting Syria. He didn't end 8 fucking wars, and they certainly weren't wars we're in.
That from Pete Hegseth and General Kane.
It's not just that he hasn't gotten us into. He has been on the record clearer than anyone. In fact, anybody who has this idea probably got it from him.
Get the fuck out of here. Biden got us out of Afghanistan. Trump ran on it, went 4 years and didn't do it. Punted. The easiest time to leave Afghanistan would have been during the height of the first year of COVID. The summer of 2020 would have been the perfect time to bug the fuck out of Afghanistan, because the world, even in Afghanistan, was by and large locked down. It would have given us an excuse. Look, we're not leaving. We just got to get our civilians out of there, because it's like we got to fly them back home. This is a worldwide pandemic. We got to, and our military guys out in the far field, we need to bring those guys in. We're gonna hand you guys the keys to some of these trucks, but we're gonna fuck out, and then we'd have been gone in a fucking month. Not a shot fired. And by the way, Trump never intended to leave. So this idea of like, we're going to get out of these forever wars. How do you hold Bagram in an ISIS-K held area surrounded by Taliban beyond that and not be in a forever war?
The first one
That's
on
right.
the debate stage in 2016 to talk about this and to make this an issue. So for people...
And to lie and not leave Afghanistan. And to, bomb other countries like Syria as much as anybody else did. Good or reason or not. Like, he went right along with everything.
Act like it's their idea and he's not going along with it. If there's anybody who...
Sorry, it's not his idea if he's not going along with it. He was lying. And if everybody else isn't, quote unquote, going along with it, that's because they were at least being truthful about either the circumstance or their philosophy. They either believe in this shit or they know that materially it's not going to be a forever war, but it's going to be a long one and we got to deal with this shit. And that's what they really believe. So they didn't ever say what Trump was saying because it would have been a flat out lie. And you're just going, well, Trump at least lied to us about it.
Does not want to get us into a forever war. This is the guy. And I just think that we need to focus on that this is not George W. Bush. This is not Colin Powell. This is not the old neocon guard.
Yeah, it's quicker and it's less thought out, but it's the same fucking plan.
It's kind of like happy to go to war forever. And Frank.
No, I don't think he's happy to go to war forever. I don't think they were happy to go to war forever. Maybe Cheney with Halliburton, but they weren't counting on it going forever. They thought it was going to be huge, sexy, like explosions and like, fuck, we fucked them up after 9/11, bro, and you're going to keep electing us for the next 4 cycles because we kicked ass and took names. But then they got bogged down.
I'm astonished that people don't get that about him after all these years.
What, that it was lying? Yeah, we get it. He's a liar. This isn't a mistake. It's not a weakness. He's not being pressured. He doesn't have the sword of Damocles over his head. He's not being threatened or blackmailed. He's a fucking liar.
Yeah, and I think, listen, Iran is not Venezuela, okay? Iran is much bigger, much stronger. They've been stockpiling munitions for a long time. I think their missile capabilities were stronger than, you'd hear reported on CNN or Fox News. So I listen,
or they weren't
much bigger.
And they knew it. That was one of the other reasons why they went, was because they actually knew that they had less stuff than they thought. And they were kind of a paper tiger like Russia. And they're taking advantage of that fact to draw attention away. And they know it's going to be a dunk. So they're just taking advantage of this part of it because the way the clock has ticked and the calendar has passed up to this point.
Challenge, but one does have the impression, watching what President Trump has done now repeatedly in these different kinetic strikes that he's orchestrated over the years, you kind of get the...
Over the years. Yeah, total peace president. Also, by the way, how many times do you have to obliterate something? Once something is obliterated, can you technically ever obliterate it again? I mean, they could rebuild something else and you could obliterate that. But if you obliterated something, it's obliterated, right? Forever. And it certainly isn't only obliterated for about 5 months.
Feeling like, were we even trying in the past? Were we tying the hands of our warriors so that they couldn't get...
Yes, maybe the problem was we were too fucking weak to go into these forever wars. Maybe we need a couple forever wars under our belt. You ever fucking think about that?
In with lethality, precision, surgical strikes.
Okay, so he gets his stuff from the White House. He gets his from Hegseth. Okay.
And then get out. And you hear him even mentioning that Venezuela is the model for how they want to do this, right? You head of the snake, you take out this.
Yeah, Venezuela is not a religious theocracy. it's standard corrupt cartel system. You can bribe people like that. You can't bribe fanatics. You can't bribe people who want to be martyrs. If they really do, you can bribe them if they don't, which is what happened with the Hamas leadership in Qatar. They, in fact, here's $1 billion each. Go fuck off, and they did, and left Hamas hanging because it was what it was always about. But in the case of Iran, nobody thinks fucking Maduro and the Ayatollah have the same depth of belief.
Senior leadership, and then you let the people kind of orchestrate their own new leadership and one that's favorable for the United States. Listen, Eric, here.
No, obviously, huge difference. They at least had elections, even if they were farcical there. One's a theocracy, the other one's a faux democracy. This is just a terrible parallel.
Here's the truth. Yes, we're reticent to get into regime change wars. Yes, it has been a debacle time and time again.
But this time it's going to be different.
But President Trump has proven that there is a different model. And so
that's right. Look at that. I'm sorry, I misstated. It's not going to be different. There's a different model. This is the new 2026 model, baby, with leather bucket seats and fine Corinthian leather.
The truth is, we just don't know how this is going to play.
Fine Iranian leather.
Out yet, Eric. There could be.
We don't know how it's going to play out. Yeah, but our concern is based on neither does Trump, and they don't seem to give a fuck. They're just enjoying the destruction part.
Dozens of U.S. casualties. I pray that is not so. But if that starts happening, that's not good, okay?
Sorry, so we just it's a bad idea if we start losing troops. It's not a bad idea if it happens and we don't lose troops, but it causes blowback years from now. So real quick, what's your price of life on this thing? Because that's what you're looking at right now. Your human life exchange rate. That's what they're talking about. I know, but okay, 15 dead people to do this? That's okay. 25? What do we do? We get up to 30. If we crest over 100, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard on the midterms if we lose 100 people killing all these other people in a situation that may or may not have actually been serious and they really not made a case for. You know, I guess if it was 100 and I really, you know, if they sold it a little harder, I could go as high as 200 dead Americans, maybe. I mean, how many did we lose before Beirut? About 220, something like that. I could probably go that plus 5%.
If this thing drags out, President Trump saying 4 to 5 weeks, maybe we move that timeline up, maybe we move it back. Obviously, you want shorter duration, get in, get out as much as possible, but you got to make sure that the mission objectives are reached. And so you got to stay in there as long as you have to get the...
Right, and that might mean, according to Trump's post on Truth Social, forever. Okay, there's a series of these assholes all over the place, and I will never be able to cover all of them in the interim. It's too much. But I am enjoying this one last thing I'll show you. This is the thumbnail on Alex Jones's channel, and I do know that he is using ChatGPT because you can tell ChatGPT's drawing style. This is in case you see this over and over again. This drawing style, big on ChatGPT. If you ask for an image, this is what it's going to look like. Nano Banana and some of the other ones, which is the Gemini, the Google system, those are going to be different. But this is very ChatGPT. So we know that Alex Jones has probably a pro ChatGPT account. Also, a mix of faces between Donald Trump and George W. Bush. So this is a little more Bush than Trump, and it's hard to tell, but that's what he's trying to do. So Trump with Bush's face. This is what he's trying to do. It's official. The U.S. has now invaded Iran. It says the war will go until September. Which I mean, I think that's a fucking winner for the midterms. Right, Chanel Leon? I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah. I will see you guys tomorrow for Friday Eye. Lots of stuff to cover, including, by the way, some a clip that CSL found for me that now I have to watch this whole hour tonight. Son of a bitch. Where Will Cain is worried about sex robots. Man, if you're trying to run from the Epstein files and and hide from the turd polishing job of supporting the Iran war. What better fallback is there than sex robots are gonna? Is the end of sex? Why men are choosing robots and AI. Now, granted, this was streamed earlier today and it's only got 812 views. Mine have more than that on average. And they're longer videos by and large. So that's just fucking sad, I guess. But he's got a whole team of people. His show's way more expensive than mine, I guess. I think. Anyways, now I gotta watch this shit. Thanks, CSL. God damn it. Why must you drag me down into your personal hell? Oh yeah, remember this from the CSL was like, remember Trump with here you go. All the military aid we sold to Saudi Arabia, and he was showing everybody before he started losing the cheek fat because they put him on Ozempic and his nuts folds started getting really crazy. And then, of course, whatever scabies disease he has right now grew. Ugh, I can't even. But okay, so we're going to send you over to Liberal Dan. Rob is good for tomorrow, and we'll talk about whether or not sex robots are here. But I have bigger fish to fry. I'm trying to decide whether to go use Perplexity Computer for like a couple of months to see. If you want to support the show, I'll need all the help I can get. It's expensive. But, to test this thing out, good Lord. They are, this is the new class system. This is, can you afford the best models? After a while, Rob Glenn is right. It won't matter because even the medium models will be plenty for 99% of people. And the 1% that are ahead won't be ahead by much. It's happening so fucking fast. We'll talk about it tomorrow and we'll have a regular show. And if the times shift around at all, it's because I got to go take care of my girl, which I'm going to go do right now. You guys are awesome. And in honor of tomorrow's Friday, I'm going to send you out on maximum overdrive because the maggot fight is a joy to watch and should motivate you as much as getting rid of Trump. That your vote, if you're in a red or a purple district, is going to count more as a Democrat than it ever has. So make sure you're registered because they're going to try and kick you off. Make sure you got all the proper ID because they're going to try and tighten that noose all they can. And fucking vote. It matters.
The fridge hums low, the lights flicker bright.
Summer's doing really well, but this is the first day of it, so we'll know over the weekend. Appreciate you guys. All right.
The thermostat whispers in the dark. Charging port spark like a steel heart. The toaster's on, the kettle screams. The coffee maker's brewing skin.